What's up, y'all? It's your girl B to the O-U-Q-U-I, and this is BOUQUI'S Place. And you know what we do here? We don't talk about the glitz or the glam. We talk about the grit and the grind. And today in the building, I have the phenomenal, the one and only Ruckus in the building. He brings insight. He brings revelation to you. Make welcome a round of applause, drum roll for the one and only Kunle Soriyan.
Hey, Bookie, good to be here. Excited as always. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for doing this every time and putting yourself out. Priceless.
Oh, thank you. Thank
I
you.
feel
We're just,
blessed. I feel blessed to be in this moment with you. Thank you
oh,
every
thank
time.
you. I appreciate that. You know, any opportunity you have to glean from greatness, you need to take it.
Awesome.
And I know what sparked this. We were talking on the phone 2 days or when, how many days ago you mentioned a word. I said, oh my God, that word, greatness, has been ringing in my mind. I said,
Yes.
don't even say anything. This has to be something that people need to hear, because
Yeah.
every time we talk, you know how Mary saw Mary saw Mary. Oh
Yes.
no, Elizabeth saw Mary, and the
Elizabeth.
baby leapt. You know, that was
Yeah.
how it leapt. And every time I speak to you, you know, I get so encouraged. I get fired up, and I don't think that it should be limited. It would be selfish of me. I would do a lot of people a great injustice if I don't, with my little platform, open this up so that people can hear the wealth of knowledge that
Thank
you
you.
have. So
Thank
I'm
you.
going to shut up. We're talking about identity crisis. A lot of people are saying, oh my God, who am I in this season? I'm not who I used to be. I'm not, you know, where I want to be. Who am I now in this moment? And I want you to just talk about this however you flow. You know me, I'm a roll with you. So please, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know you are going to pause me at different times to ask a question or clarify anything I've said, but, identity is a very critical part of the human condition. It doesn't matter what you are trying to do, right? Whether you are trying to sell a thing or you are trying to, whatever you are trying to do, even whether it's a car you sell or it's fashion, or it's just the gospel you are preaching, or you have some philosophy or ideology. It doesn't matter if you are Barack Obama or you are Bill Gates or um, uh, Mark Zuckerberg, or you are Adolf Hitler, or you are the head of ISIS, or you are pushing Al Qaeda. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Identity is at the core of that. There's no form of human exercise at any level, whether it is the curation of self or just necessary actualization of the human journey itself, or probably some philosophy you want to immortalize, or some ideology, whether it's democracy, capitalism, Nazism, terrorism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, whatever it is. You can't move almost an inch without a premium on the identity of that thing. You can't do anything, right? Part of the cross, again, is that identity is now a journey. Identity is beyond the immediate labels that allows for the ease of recognition. So being able to say, I am Olakunle Soriyan does not mean I know who I am. That is not a label that I chose out of understanding of my purpose or my meaning. That is actually something foisted on me, right? And that is why change of name is possible, where you can actually, express rebellion against the identity that was placed on you, because then even that is inadequate to represent, all that is inside of you, right? So at every point in time, you have to wrestle with the truth that identity is a journey. Part of the burden of that is the experiences of life will not excuse you from the ignorance that will characterize that journey. You see? So nothing is going to allow you to have some kind of breakthrough or some kind of permission to escape the the burden of life and the lethality of human choices, the nuances out there, the foolishness, unguardedness, irrationality of the human condition, and the choices of the human beings you are going to interact with, their choice to communicate their foolishness to you, or communicate their wisdom to you, or to punish you for their perception of your wisdom or of your foolishness. When I years ago, when people say, I did something bad, or they don't like something I did, or they don't like me, or something happened between us, or our relationship goes sour, I used to get busy trying to find what I did wrong, and I used to just want to go out of my way, pray about it, beat myself. There's just a consciousness in me, somebody had called it goodness, but I don't think anybody is good, quite frankly. But I think a consciousness in me that just want to excuse the other person and own everything and take responsibility. Then when I matured, I realized painfully that you don't need to do anything to offend people. Now that's a terrible irony, or should I call it a paradox, where I didn't do anything, but you are offended. You actually don't need to do anything to offend people, because the propensity of the human being to experience offense is internal, not external. It doesn't necessarily have to be outside in, right? There is a parallel world inside of the human being that can activate any level of emotion, any level, right? You can define a saint as a devil inside of you, right? You can define Jesus as a demon. I mean, Jesus was called a demon. Beat that. Somebody who came to the world to take demons out of people was actually labeled as the demon, not for doing anything. So I realized you don't have to do anything to be in people's bad books. You just at times need to be who you are, and you are in their books already. Right? So I had to free myself from that prison. And so coming back to that idea.
Sorry.
Yes.
How what BOUQUI'S Place is about? This is about equipping people with practical tools that they can use to do destiny, right?
Yes.
So how did you, just in case someone is listening now and they're like, this is resonating with me, but I need tools. I need to know how he did it. So how did you escape from that? Because you've talked about two things that I've made a mental note about. You've talked about choices, and then you also talked about this. So I want you to expand. How did you get away from this prison of expectations, or, trying to fix bridges that you didn't burn, but something inside of you just felt that I need to fix it? Because, when the past calls you, the past doesn't show you why you left. The past shows you the highlights of when you had fun, when you guys hung out. It doesn't show you what they did wrong. And so in your mind, you're like, I need to fix it. They were so nice to me. They were so good to me. How did you escape that perspective?
Yeah, so on many levels, and that is exactly what I wanted to begin to speak to, because you really can't do that if you have not made peace with your identity. Now, what has killed out there is that you have to know who you are. So when people talk about identity, what they are really trying to say is you must know who you are. Well, I try to do that, and I realize it's not as easy as people make it. And in all humility, very few people have read books as much as I've read. Right? Very few people, and I say that with all humility, very few people have undertaken the type of study that I have undertaken. In all of that, I am still getting to know myself. So the beginning of my freedom is to define my identity as not a destination, but an experience. An experience for me and for everyone around me. You see? So no matter how clear you get, there are things about you that are non-negotiable, that you will always, you already know about you, and they just can't, they define you at your core. For example, for me, my faith is a critical part of that. My faith. But you see, my faith in itself and having a full grasp of it is a journey. That is like saying I have God. God, what part of God do you have? You can have so much of God, and all you have is just 1% of God. You know, so what part of God do you really have? So God in himself and having him is an experience, and therefore a journey. So when I say faith, it means that I have a God in my life, and nothing in this world is enough to take it away from me. But my experience in that God and of that God is a journey. And how much of myself I learn with that God is also a journey. You see? So I'm accepting what I call the frailties of life. You know, that life is in itself enduring of our imperfections, and you will never arrive at that place of perfect behavior or perfect thoughts. So even my accusers or my persecutors themselves have only mastered how to be kind to themselves and permit their own nuisance, and want me to pretend that it's not existent in them, such that I can then hold myself responsible for whatever misery exists between us. You know, so I can't do that. I have taken responsibility for all of what I struggle with inside of me, but I will never forget that so is everyone around me. There's no one born of a woman that is free of the wretchedness of the human condition, such that even in good people, the potential for evil on a grand scale exists, depending on the pressure that they encounter at a particular time, and how the adults of their past have prepared them for the reality of their future, right?
And so, the choices they've made.
The choices they've made. So for me, knowing that I will never be perfect, I will never qualify for any man's standard or curriculum, just completely permit me to live with my frailties. I will not babysit myself for the rest of my life. It's a choice, right? So I'm going to move on in spite of who I am. God is aware of how he made me, is aware of my struggles and my imperfection, and is willing to walk with me in spite of that, right? So I should walk with myself in spite of that. But most importantly, I should not allow anyone to define how I progress, you know, because they refuse to walk like that. Walk with me in spite of that, right? My decision to love all people is a commitment to walk with them in spite of their struggles, in spite of their imperfection. My commitment to marriage is my commitment to live with someone in spite of who she is, not just because of who she is, right? And so I am now very aware of people who cannot have their best experience with me in spite of who I am, you know, and who qualify their experience with me only based on the positives I can do, right? So I will not run away from such people, but I will keep them at arm's length, meaning that I will not suffer for their foolishness or for their ignorance or naivety of any kind, right? So that gave me a permission. The other level of that is just knowing that, you know, the human soul is insatiable. You know, I mean, God who came to die for the whole world has not been received by everyone in the world. In this same world that God made, there are atheists who don't believe in God at all. If God is accepting that rebellion, you know, and walking around it, because it's a fact. You don't solve a fact, you solve problems. You walk around facts. You know, when you are
we're not just gonna glide, because we're not just gonna glide past that, because you see, in a world where we confuse the truth with facts and reality, and you know, just like you said, whatever I decide to see that enters my heart becomes my reality, and it becomes my reality whether it's not, or you know, it doesn't matter. So let's define. I hope this is not going to take you off your train of thoughts, but
no.
I need you to define and differentiate, because you see, you talked about the journey, right? We're on a journey and we're walking, right? Is it a finished? Okay, so I went to school in LA, right? I did script writing and everything. By the way, you know, I got my PhD. I'm a doctor.
Congratulations, says. Come on now. I know. I saw that. I took it all in.
Hey, I realized in the building.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
Wally, good to see you, man.
But before then, before I got distracted, right?
Yes.
On the path to destiny, a lot of people think, okay, let me just go back to the story I was telling. So when I was in school, right, in LA, we would write scripts and everything. The script is already finished by us. And then we'll have to do what they call a casting call. You feel me? Like, okay, so they first break it down into, okay, the major character has to be tall, the supporting actors and the wakabai and all those things. They break it down and then they put out a casting call. So the script is kind of finished. The story is finished. You just need to step in and become that part, whichever one you were picked for, you know? So is it the same for life? My destiny, is it typecast? Is it cast in stone that I just have to appear and exist and everything happens? What part does my decision making and the choices that I make, what part do they play in fulfillment of my destiny, in the fulfillment of my destiny?
Yeah, I hear you. So that is a big this conversation when we speak about ideas like predestination, and destiny. For me, the way I've come to understand it in my many studies, both within my faith and how the human soul and the human spirit is defined, right, in the Bible, and how that has agreed with the real, lives that we've experienced in our own generation, right? My conclusion is that your destination is your destiny, and what that means is that there is a freedom of the human soul to travel as far as he has elasticity for, right? I believe some things are written of us. For example, it is written of me, I believe, to influence the world globally. I believe that deep at my core. And
Me
the
too.
way my life
Me
has,
too.
the way my life has panned out, even my mistakes have launched me forward into that. My errors, my wrong judgments, my wisdom, my intelligence, and everything in my life. Indeed, all things have worked together for my good, and they continue to work together. Even the things I've worked on, the things I was so sure were my end, right? And somehow I look back at those things and they actually appear like a ladder, like they actually help me to get to a new level. So when I hear statements like opportunities once lost can never be regained, I reject them. I reject them because it doesn't translate. It doesn't add up. If indeed opportunities once lost cannot be regained, then redemption is unnecessary. In fact, redemption will be impossible. So how do people find redemption? How do we how does somebody make a stupid mistake and goes into jail, writes a book, and become a millionaire even while still in jail? And don't forget, he went to jail trying to become a millionaire. He gets to jail, he writes a book, and he becomes a millionaire from the jail. He went to jail trying to become a millionaire, and from jail, he's now a millionaire. You see what I'm saying? And how do you define somebody who is a murderer, like an Apostle Paul, and coming out to be the savior of millions across the globe? His letters represent inspiration, hope, meaning, faith for millions even yet unborn across the world. How do you beat that the person that wrote those kind of letters actually persecuted the same faith that he now so boldly represent even in his death, right? So when you think of how people have made mistakes, like myself, I've made mistakes of my life, and today I find so much meaning You know, with my life, millions of people would die to have my life for 5 minutes, right? And, you know, all of that did not come from any thorough strategic planning or thinking. You know, this is me just stumbling into grace and power and acceptance at levels I did not architect or curate. You know, it just like followed me. It just like embraced me, right? I mean, I blindly walked into situations that rewarded me greatly, that I can't trace it to any mathematical, you know, or intelligent, you know, maneuver from me. I've sat in a plane. I sat in a plane one time, Bookie. I sat in a plane, and a very powerful person was sitting next to me. And just because I had my wristwatch on my right, she just engaged me and said, you know, why are you wearing your wristwatch on your right? She said, in all her years, she's not met anyone with a wristwatch on her right, on his right. And it looks, because I've always worn my wristwatch on my right. And then we started talking, and one of the biggest breakthroughs I've had in business came from that interaction. You know, by the time we were landing, I got a business. You see what I'm saying?
Who could have orchestrated that?
How?
Who could have strategized
how could that have happened?
Never.
You know, what kind of intelligence could have made that happen, right? What kind of positioning could have made that happen? Just me being myself and putting my wristwatch on my right because I feel more comfortable that way, and that is creating an attention. I wasn't trying to start a conversation. I was ready to sit on that flight and sleep all through. And she started the conversation. And everything changed from there. This is somebody that is like 20 years older than I am. I mean, so it's not like she found me attractive or she's trying to date me, or it's someone that could be my mom or my aunt or something, you know. So the idea is that we are living within a universe. And Bookie, listen to this. We are living in a universe that is parallel to other universes, right? And ours is just one. And, you know, Christians believe in heaven, right? And we believe in God. But God is in a different universe. It has to be in a different universe, right? And the two universes are parallel to each other. And one of them works in time, Bookie. The other one doesn't. The other one works in
eternity,
space-time. Yeah. Space-time, which is what we call eternity. Is space-time. Because the reason why is because, and listen to this is critical. Because you can't have time without having space. Because time only happens in space.
Matrix is a matrix.
Yes. Yeah. And you can't have space without having time. So because space also must be in time. What it means is you can't have a when without a where. Every time you have a when, there's a where. When is not just happening. Where always happens somewhere. And you can't have a where without a when. You see? So
my head is busting.
So where represents space and when represents time. You see? So if you tell me that you are in time that doesn't have a where, it's practically impossible. It's not possible. If you say you are going to die and go to heaven, and you can't go to the heaven now, it's not possible. It's not possible, Bookie, because you can't have either of them, right? As a matter of fact, the moment you can have space distinct from time, then there can be a destination called heaven then. You see? Because it can't exist. So the idea, when you read the Bible and you read verses like, you are seated with Christ in the heavenly places. It didn't say you are going to sit. The Bible didn't say you are going to sit in the future. It says, yes, you are in the world right now.
Can I just tell
but you are also seated.
Can you tell B.o.u.q.u.i, can you tell mommy to stop calling me, please, so that my mom is calling me? Can you just call her to stop calling me? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Go ahead.
So the Bible says that you are where you are right now And he also says, right now, you are also seated with Christ in the heavenly places at the right hand of the Father. Right now. Both of them are happening at the same time. You see? So that is possible because of space-time. That's not because eternity is possible because of space-time. So some people define their existence by when they were born, right? But that can be the beginning of your existence. Again, if you go into scriptures, which validate a lot of research and science for me, it said, before you were formed, I knew you, right? There's a scripture that says that the person that was born is better, that the day of the person that is dead is better than the one that was born. He said, but better than both of them is one that never existed.
That's the one who never existed.
Who never existed. So it means the one who never existed is better. That means he has an identity. He has an identity, right, that we don't know, but is defined to be better than the identity of someone who was born or someone who died, right? So, which agrees with why before you were formed, you could have been known because you had an identity even before you were formed in your mother's womb, right? He didn't say before you were formed, before you were in your mother's womb, there was an identity that predates that. So there is now a pre-womb existence, identity. There is a womb identity. There is a post-womb identity, which we call life, and there's eternity. You see, all of these are possible because of the idea of that parallel universes, that we exist in different universes, which is what allows God to be God, right? It's what allows God to be God. So I say that to say that how can then you define my life by some articulation of the human brain when there are experiences that transcends the existence of the brain in the first place? Therefore, it can't be that when I die, because consciousness is different. And even when my brain shuts down and every part of my body shuts down, it doesn't mean consciousness is shut down, right? It doesn't mean the spirit is shut down. So it just means that the body can no longer carry all that I am in that moment. So I say that to say, therefore, that I quite frankly, for so many reasons we can continue to break down, I quite frankly don't believe that there is one definite, defined, articulated, probably even documented destination for the human life, such that, you know, no matter what happens to him, he's going to get to that place, right? So I try to make a parable between the promise, between a promise, the promisee and the promisor. The idea that the promise is you are going to give me a phone. If I come to B.o.u.q.u.i's house on Monday morning, she's going to give me a phone. That's the promise. She is the promisor because she's the one promising that. And I'm believing the integrity of the promisor. Then I'm the promisee, who is the recipient of the promise. Now, because everybody knows B.o.u.q.u.i, that she's honorable, she will give me that phone. She's faithful, she's full of integrity. If she says she will give you something on Monday morning, she's going to give you. So all I need to do is get to her house. Now, do I, because of the attitude and character and integrity and decency and honor and nobility of B.o.u.q.u.i, knowing that the phone is mine already, I just need to get there. Should I now see a train coming while making my way to B.o.u.q.u.i's house and says the assuredness and the guarantee that I have in B.o.u.q.u.i's personality and character is enough to make this train pass through me and not kill me? Because, so regardless of what I do, this train is incapable of hurting me because of the validity of a promise that is sure and a promisor that is even surer than the promise. No. If I allow that train to hit me, I will die. I will die, B.o.u.q.u.i. And when I die, the promise will still be alive. The promisor will still be all that she is, but the promisee is unguarded in the management of the promise and in his association with the promisor. So because you are promised things, quite frankly, does not mean it is assured, right? It doesn't mean it is assured. It is what I believe. Because what people will then conclude from there is that, so how does all things work together for our good then? So it means that, you know, whatever I do, you know, contaminate the promise, and I may not have the promise. So if God has planned or life is written that I will be rich, if I don't do 1, 2, 3 to be rich, I'm going to miss my wealth. That's what it means, right? That is what it means. But that can be it. That can be it. So at times, I always tell people, you won't always know what you should do. And to surrender yourself to the idea that you must know what you will do is oppressing yourself. That is you punishing yourself, really. Because you will not, as a human being, you can't always be that clear every time to know what you will do. Life will, however, forgive you for not always knowing what you will do, but will not forgive you for not knowing what you should not do. Because what you should do is always ahead of you and vague, requiring faith and optimism and positioning and so many things to connect with. But what you should not do is always in your past. And if you are not clear about what you should not do, it means that you are never present to pick the vibes of your own lessons, right? So even if I don't know what I should do, I should be clear about what I should not do. If I don't know what God is up to, I should be clear about what God cannot be up to, right? And every time I take out what God cannot be up to from what is available, then what is left should be what he is up to. That is just selection, right? That is just selection. So that is just elimination. So the moment I can eliminate what I should not do, I'm extremely close to what I should do, right? And if I live my life on that kind of path, that is where grace comes in. Because grace has factored in, providence has factored in your imperfection. Providence does not expect you to get it all right. Providence has factored in the gaps of clarity, right? Now, you, because of the privilege of hindsight, right, the things you have already gone through should tell you what you should not do. And even if that's all you have, the remaining is covered by the flashes of grace, right? So I believe very strongly that if we live intentional and we focus on best effort, this is how I put it. Whatever happens to you after best effort is God's will. Whatever it is, what you owe yourself and you owe your existence at any point in time is best effort. And every time you supply best effort, even on your worst day, there's grace available for peace in your next level. Because God will never make a demand where he has not invested. Neither will he put your miracle beyond your reach. The moment sincerely before God, you have done all that you understand, then grace is available to cover it. That's why we have scriptures like, if your heart does not condemn you, you have confidence before God. You have confidence before God, right?
Can we talk about that? Because you see, what we're talking about is the energy of intention. And intention is such a word that has been bastardized. Now everybody's like, live intentionally, intentionality. I want us to break that word down, because you're saying that if my capacity is 5 liters and I tried my best, I filled it up, and somebody with 10 gallons is comparing, you know, like, oh my God, look at what she did. God is judging me based on the capacity he gave me. So if I put my all, put my best foot forward and I give it my all, I'm justified because that's what I knew to do.
Correct.
Now let's not talk about intention, because a lot of people don't understand. 2 things I wanted to talk about, but we've gone so far past that other one, but it's okay. But
well,
I wanted to talk
back
about
to identity. I didn't lose it. I'm going to come back to it.
Okay, identity. So if I've done my best and somebody that feels I should know better, but this is sincerely my best from my heart, somebody that feels that I should know better is judging me, how do you free yourself from that mindset, like just like the first question we had, how do you come a practical tool of how we get to that point and say, you know what, I give it my all. After that, whatever remains is, how do you get to that point? And like we already established that you're not beating yourself down, you're not trying to do work that scenario again so that you can make it better and all that. How do you get there consciously?
So if any human being, first of
and
all,
then the power of intentionality, the energy that comes with intentionality.
Yes. So this is how I define maturity. I define maturity. I mean, this is one of my definitions of maturity. I have quite layers of definition for it, but one of them is the ability to own your own scenarios. So what that means is that if you slap me now, I didn't do anything to you. You just walked up to me and give me a slap. Now, the popular understanding there is, I should ask you, what did I do to you? Why did you slap me? You shouldn't slap me. I didn't do anything. Now, in my world, the way I understand it, that's immature. Because you are already interpreting a feedback that you have not clarified, right? And what that means is somebody gave you a slap. Maturity demands that you do not say, why did you slap me first? That's secondary. The primary thing is to say, how did I carry myself? And how did I position myself that you were able to slap me?
Such a way.
You see, that's maturity. So I'm not first thinking about you. I'm saying, because there are two ways to kill a lion. You can face the lion physically and wrestle the lion. That's 50-50. In fact, that's 90-10, because it can kill you. The chances of it killing you is higher.
Yeah.
Right? It's a big risk. But the scriptures also says the lion perished for lack of prey. The lion perished for lack of prey. It means even the lion without food will starve to death. So if we take away all that the lion can eat, it will die naturally, because it's an animal with life. So that's how I try to live my life. I don't try to fight the problem, I decide them. So that means that I carry myself in such a way that I starve you of the opportunity to even, somebody said we shouldn't do this because this person is very disrespectful, he can disrespect me. I said, no, she can't disrespect me, even if she wants to. You see, she's going to have to walk and plant about 10 years to be able to disrespect me, because
I'm not even going to give you the opportunity.
You won't even have the opportunity. The protocol around me, the way I carry myself, there are so many things I do that defines me as I show up every day, that cannot give her the opportunity to even disrespect me. So the day she disrespect me, I'm not questioning her first. I'm questioning my protocol. I'm looking at all my security, everything I've put in place, and I'm saying, what went wrong? She shouldn't be able to disrespect me. How did she disrespect me? Right? So I think that is first off, right? That is first off, to understand that at the end of the day, you only, somebody mentioned that somebody was stupid, and the person responded and said, I'm not stupid. And I said, you know, if you had told me that, we were in the car, all this drama had happened. And when we were leaving, I just, can I say something? He said, yes. I said, you know, if I was the one that they said, are you stupid too? He actually said, are you stupid too? You know, I'm not going to defend myself. I think maturity and humility will require that I ask him, why did you think so? I said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Oh, I'm stupid? Really? Why do you think I'm stupid? I will give him the chance to prove his position or to confirm his foolishness. So if he says, well, I don't know why you are foolish, honestly, I don't know why you said it, but honestly, I just think you are stupid, then he's stupid.
Then you don't engage.
Then I don't engage. But if he says, well, honestly, with due respect, you know, I didn't think you should have done 1, 2, 3. That's feedback. And I'm going to pick that up and take a second look at it. Maybe I'm stupid. For anybody to say you are stupid, they should have a way of measuring stupidity, which they think you conform to. So if they say you are stupid, mutual respect requires that you give them the room that they know what they are saying. So maybe there's a blind spot. So you should want to find out why they say so. Do they have a curriculum for defining stupidity? And if they don't, then they are stupid. And if they do, then you check that curriculum if it is valid. You know, and if you honestly see that you are stupid, because it's possible you are not God, you may be stupid. You may actually be stupid. Why do you think you are not stupid, though? You know, by what? Why do you think you are not stupid? You are not God. You are human. You could be missing a point or missing an angle. You know, it's very possible. So you could be stupid. And people have tried to conspire to get me into some debates, at times to get me into some crisis. They fail every time, because every time they get into that zone, what I supply them with is questions about myself. Oh, really? Somebody told me I did 1, 2, 3. I said, oh, really? Can you rephrase that for me? Because ordinarily I wouldn't think I would do that. And this is why I didn't think I would do that. Can you rephrase that for me? So I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Then I don't have time to go further with this conversation then. You know, so that is very important. Now, what I also say, therefore, because of that definition, if somebody then comes to you to say you did something wrong, like you have asked, to say you did something wrong, I think humility, which is a part of maturity, requires that you, first of all, recognize that the person is already feeling miserable. And every time something goes wrong, there are two things there. How the person is feeling from what you did, right or wrong. And if I really love you, I should be as concerned about how you are feeling as I am about my justice. So my justice should not cancel the fact of how you are feeling.
Mercy.
Even if I'm right, you are still feeling miserable already. And this is somebody that I love, that I appreciate, that I respect, or that I honor. So I will first of all own that and say, look, I apologize for how you feel. You know, it's a whole lot for me right now. People don't know how to say those kind of things. They just feel that, oh, at every point in time, it's either I'm apologizing that I'm sorry or I'm not. No, not necessarily. You know, I could first of all apologize for how you feel. I really feel bad that you even feel this way. I shouldn't be the one making you feel like this, whether I'm right or wrong. You know, it's still a lot for me. I'm still trying to really, process my actions in this and how wrong I am. Maybe I will do that later, but right now I just want to apologize for how you are feeling. And I'm seriously sorry about that. I shouldn't make you feel like this, even if I'm right. You know, that's still, that's another universe in that conversation. I don't have to, in that point, begin to look for justice. You know, justice is always secondary. And I always tell people, at some point in your life, you are going to mature to the point where you are going to choose between peace or justice. Because peace, the articulation for justice is always within reach. But every time you fight for your justice, you are going to trade your peace for it. And you have to grow to that point where your justice is your peace, which is superior between your peace and your justice. And some people have won so much justice in their life, they have no peace left.
No peace.
Right? You have to come to a place where peace becomes your supreme value. That's why you read scriptures like, as long as it depends on you. It didn't say as long as you are right or wrong. It said as long as it depends on you. As long as you control that asset called peace. Be at peace with all men. Just gift it, you know, if necessarily, particularly when the process for the articulation of justice is a struggle. There are views flying everywhere. The person believes it's right, you believe you are right. Just hold on to peace, because no one can wrestle with that. And you can take that away with you, regardless of how they feel. That is empowering yourself. To ignore peace and embrace justice is doing two things: disempowering yourself and empowering the ignorance of those around you. That's what it is. You know, because you lose.
Wait. Yo, you can't just drop these bombs and just think it's nothing, right? Because there's a second between something happening to me and that, you know, between my, well, let's say reaction. When something happens to me, before I react to the stimulus or whatever, there's a fraction of a second which I control, and that's how I react to what has just happened to me from the outside. And that depends on how strong my inside is.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So how do I get so mentally strong that I can master that 1 second? because the outcome of the scenario will be
Yes,
dependent
correct.
greatly on how I handle that fraction of a second. So how do I get that we've talked about identity, but how do I get that mentally strong that I control that fraction of a second? I recognize it. I isolate it. Someone calls you stupid. Before you say, oh, Papa, not stupid, I say, why? It's just a fleeting second. How do I recognize that? And how do I?
I'll give a thought and I'll share a practical system that people can use. Great champions like Muhammad Ali, like Mike Tyson, they've all agreed on one thing. The champion is not made in the ring. It's not in the moment of conflict that you made a champion. You made the champion in the training room. You made the champion in the gym. The champion is made in the gym, and it comes to validate that in the ring, to display that for everybody to see in the ring. But the champion is made in the gym. And everybody, however, wants to be the champion in the ring. And they discount consistently their responsibility in the gym. You see, you can't reappear once you appear, right? And I say this every time. You don't become a thief because you stole. You steal because you are a thief. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
You don't become a thief because you stole. You steal because you are a thief, such that if you never had the misfortune of stealing in your lifetime, he doesn't make you less a thief. If you are a thief, whatever made you a thief.
Even though it was never externally proven.
It was never externally proven. If you are a thief, it means that somewhere in your upbringing, you've learned to be a thief, but you never stole. It means that somehow life did not put you in the circumstance or in the opportunity of give you enough pressure to bring that out of you. It doesn't mean it's not there. If you find yourself in an environment that pressurized you at a level of intensity, that put a demand on that part of you, you will steal if you are a thief. And somebody else will be in that same situation who is not a thief, and he will be as pressurized and choose not to steal and become a bricklayer instead than to steal, because he doesn't know how to steal, you see. So what you do is what you can do. What you cannot do, you will never do, right? But the idea is that when you put pressure on a thing, the content of the thing is revealed. When you put pressure on a thing, right? So you have to prepare yourself. Whatever you show is who you are. If your wife says something to you that you don't like and you raise your voice on her, it's not what she said. Even though you want to blame her for what she said. If you slap her, it's not what she said. What she said, no doubt, is a catalyst to what you did. But what you did is who you are. What she said put you under pressure. But what you did is who you are. And that who you are is not your identity, it's who you have become. Because who you are, we are still coming back there. But it's who you have become. It's what influence of the adults of your life and society has trained you to be. It's not really who you are. But whichever way, however you became that person, you are going to act to the capacity in that person, right? So you slap her because you are a slapper, period. It's not what she said. Somebody else will be as provoked as Livy, who doesn't know how to slap. He will pick up his jacket and go for a walk. Or he will start silent treatment. Or he put on this music and put it to the highest volume. Or put on CNN and lock his door because he doesn't know how to slap. And somebody else will slap because that is what the person knows how to do. Now, what is cheap and easier is to make the other person feel responsible for what you did. Like, stuff like, oh, so you shouldn't have said that. I don't like slapping you, or I don't like raising my voice. It's what you said. If you can just stop saying things like this, I will not raise my voice. No, that's the script right there. That's the script. That is who you have become. You are manifesting who you are, right? So the idea, that is the thought that I wanted to share. To deal with that is to begin to suggest to yourself what you would do in that circumstance, right? So for example, what I do every 90 days, I record the affirmations of the struggle I want to beat. So for example, I say that I'm fearless. I say it anywhere. I'm not afraid of death, which is the highest level of fear. and the root of all fear and all phobia. But I'm not afraid of death. And it's not that I got there overnight. So I had to, when I understood why I should not, because the beginning of change is clarity, right? Now, the proof of clarity is momentum and action. You can know and not act. That's because you are not clear about what you know. It means you have knowledge, not clarity. You can have knowledge and do nothing. Knowledge will not necessarily birth momentum, will not necessarily birth action. But clarity can only be established in that. Once you are clear, you act, right? So the things you act about are the things you are clear about, right? So the idea is that you will not always have the promise of clarity. So but the beginning of transformation is to be clear about the why. Once you understand why, and that can happen in a room, that can happen in a session of 2 hours with a coach or a therapist or a counselor, you can gain clarity. Now, when you gain that clarity, you are going to feel a sensation of victory. You don't have victory yet. That is like you are struggling with fever, and for some reason you got to the hospital. Before you saw the doctor, you just started feeling great. The temperature just started going down because you are in an environment that promises healing and change. So is a resonance between everything inside of you and the energy of the room. This is an environment where things change positively. So that energy is too strong. It started arresting you right there. If you leave because of how well you are feeling, you're going to suffer a terrible relapse. That is just the beginning of the change. So when you go see a counselor or you go into a conference or a seminar, you will always leave. You go to church on Sunday, you will always leave with a sensation of victory, not necessarily the experience of it. Now, to convert that into experience, you now need to be more intentional, right? So for example, when I got the clarity about death and how death is an ally and how, and how everything I'm experiencing is feedback, I began to design systems that work for that. So for example, I record my own voice because faith comes by hearing. Positioning comes by hearing. Mastery of the mind comes by hearing. That's the beginning of it. So I record in my own voice, I am fearless. I fear nothing. I am strong in the face of adversity. In my own voice, on my phone. And then I give it to my engineer who put some good music behind it. And I just start playing it every day. I don't even need to see. The idea of coming to say it with your mouth is pretty much disrupted now with technology. Let's be clear. It's hearing that is the goal, not necessarily the exercise of the mouth. Yeah. So you are agreeing and confessing it. Once you say it with your own mouth, you say it in your mouth into your phone, it's recorded. When it's playing again and again, and you are hearing it in your kitchen, in your bathroom, in your toilet, everywhere, in your car, everywhere, is positive confession as well. It's the same thing as doing it physically every time. Yeah. Technology has scaled that up a bit, and we are now in a different experience of that confession. Is autosuggestion. Do you know, I'm sure you know, B.o.u.q.u.i, that 60,000 thoughts go through your brain every day. Over 60,000 thoughts. Now, I don't know the human being that can account for just 20 of them. I can account for them and actually write down those 60,000 thoughts. You will be really present and conscious to write down 20 that went through your mind that day. Meanwhile, over 60,000 went through your mind. That is why the subconscious is powerful, because it is recording more data than your conscious can capture, right? So when you practice that kind of recording, you are suggesting to yourself beyond your consciousness. And so that learned manual experience is becoming subconscious for you. So the same way you start driving and you can't do anything when you start driving, you are so conscious, you can't touch anything. But after a while, if you keep driving and you keep driving, everything there goes into your subconscious. Now you could change your clothes even driving. You could eat, you could do anything. You could take a call, you could do it because you are now driving from your subconscious.
That's true. That's
true. So you could drive to your office almost with your eyes shut. You could just go. You just know you don't need a GPS. There was a time you started going there with the GPS. After a while, your mind mastered it, and you could drive to your office without a GPS, right? Without a map. So in the same way, it's autosuggestion. you automatically suggest to yourself, and that takes time. Let's be clear. You know, the idea that we just want everything so instant, we have to work at it. And in time, after a while, I find myself fearless. And let me tell you how I knew that some things have left me. I just hear a sound, boom, and everybody is, you know, panic. Not that they are, but it's just natural response. Everybody's just, and I'm just calm. And I didn't even notice. It was after a while, I said, wait, I'm not reacting to this thing. I just noticed that I'm in a different place. And then between then and now, I've walked through different, threatening reality where I was just calm. And I was able to find composure in the face of adversity. There's just this tranquility I have. And don't get me wrong, emotions will betray you. So the feeling of fear is not necessarily the validation of fear. So, and the feeling of fear does not invalidate courage. So the proof of fearlessness is courage. The proof of courage is action. It's what you do regardless of how you feel. That is the proof that you are. So it's not, you can feel afraid and act courageous. That you are fearless in that circumstance is your presence of mind, your ability to think and own that environment. Though all the threats are there, you know, people, somebody is shooting, everybody just running out. You are present enough to say, no, I need to calm down, lie on the floor, put up the light, go to the right. That's caution. That's not fear. Even though your heart is breathing, you feel fear, but you are not afraid. You see what I'm saying? So in the same way, I think that people have to practice, you know, that, and that is a simple tool we can use to defeat anything. We can use that to defeat unnecessary spontaneity. We can use that to defeat anything. You know, we can use that to speak to ourselves about greed and say that I am giving, I am conscious, I'm empathetic, compassionate. I see everyone, I hear everyone. I give what is due. I serve my time in moments. I allow people the attention their individuality deserve. I give people the space and the room and the fairness and the justice and the equity their individuality deserve, regardless of my want, regardless of my ambition, regardless of my preference, of my prejudice, right? So those are the kind of things you have to say to yourself if you have to defeat, say, greed, for example, or you have to defeat selfishness, for example. Again, I tell people, greet knowledge with curiosity, not view, not opinion. Greet stimulus, any form of stimulus. Greet it with curiosity. Replay that to yourself. Remind yourself that that is your only option. You don't respond to stimulus with view, how much more action? You don't respond with opinion. You don't respond with preference. You don't respond with prejudice. The only thing you owe stimulus is curiosity, not even belief, not even acceptance. So even if you are saying something to me now, I don't have to believe it. You know?
Can you break it down? Can you break it down? Is that you saying that whenever something happens, I should be eager to learn why?
To learn why, no matter what it is. Even before something happens, practice with simple conversation. Even in this session, as the audience is listening, they don't have to believe me. They shouldn't believe me, as a matter of fact. They should receive everything I'm saying with curiosity. You know how Bible says that you should be like the Berean Jews, if after listening to all that Paul said, still went home to see if all that was true. You know, so we should greet everything with curiosity. So no matter what I hear, you know, I tell people, Bookie, I don't read books to know what is in the book. That's never my goal.
Did you read my book, though?
Oh, I'd love it. It's right here. Right here. We should get into this at some point. You know, so I don't read a book to know what is in the book. I actually read the book to understand what is not in the book. Because that's the only way I can be a true shepherd of the book and of knowledge. Because we are all shepherds of knowledge, and we are either shepherds or hirelings. And you don't want to be hirelings, because that means you are using things, and you are using things. And, you know, the other day somebody said to me, though, and said that, you know, those guys are just users. They are going to use us. They're going to use us terribly. I said, I don't mind. I don't mind being used. In fact, if you don't learn to be masterful in being used, you will be nothing in this life. Misuse is what you should be worried about, not use. Because people must use you. And you
Can you
should learn.
differentiate? Can you differentiate between? Okay, let's just a little caveat. Okay, so this new generation, unlike our generation and the ones before us, right? They're ready to serve in church, at work, anywhere. They just want to serve, right? But this generation that's coming up, not to say I don't respect them greatly, they are more like, no, I know my rights. It's my truth. I speak, they spin their neck around, spit fire out, and they just tell you they know about their truth. This is my individuality. You can't take it away. I walk in my identity. So all these things that plague them. And I also know that there's something called, like you already know, the 10,000 hours.
Yes.
Malcolm Gladwell. It takes 10,000 hours for you to put work into something before you become a master.
Yes.
So this is what I do. I see every opportunity as to clock in, as a chance to clock in my time. So I'm clocking in. You think you're using me, but I'm clocking in my time. I'm putting in my hours. And before you know it, I put in 10,000 hours. So how do we reach this generation, just in case they're listening now, that you are not going to use me, is abuse. Pastor wants us to come and play Kenny, they are not paying us. All these things that we did eagerly that kind of decided and determined the trajectory of our lives that we're enjoying now. How do we reach this next generation and let them see the difference between use and abuse, and how to use, even if they're using you? Because the Bible says that pray for when they despitefully use you. Don't worry about it. I got you. It's still going.
That's it.
How do we pass that across?
Because the agenda of people around you, you have no control over. Just like in the market, you really can't ask everybody to sell what you want. In the market, you can only buy what you want, but you can't control what people sell. So if you go to the mall with $10, somebody's going to beckon to you to come look at a store where the least thing there is $50,000. They don't care what you came to do. They care what they want to sell. Now, you can't be so mission driven that your commitment is to control what people are going to sell. That's labor laws. You are trying to fight a constant. You are kicking against the goads. You are trying to fight the elements. You are not designed to control the presentations from the irrationality of the human experience. That's not your job. Your job is to manage your own path and lead your own journey. So it doesn't matter what they came to sell. What did you come to buy, right? So that means what is coming is coming. It is who you are, how you hear, how you see, how you interpret, how you judge, how you decide, and how you act that makes the difference. But what is coming is coming. That's like, you can't stop birds from hovering on your head, but you can stop them from perching. Now, if your goal is to stop birds from hovering, then you will do nothing in this life, right? But it's easier to stop birds from perching on your head as opposed to blocking every bird in the world from taking off or from hovering or from flying, right? So the perching is what you can manage. So always focus on what you can manage, and then interpret the relationships that you have regardless of the intent. So for me, for example, I tell young people every time, people can even have a commitment to misuse you. First of all, everything we call service is usage. Let's be clear. If you avoid usage, you are avoiding engagement. People will use you. So
can someone type that? Can someone type that so that we can pin it? No. Please type it.
So yeah, you have to be used. You have to be used. Now, when usage comes with negative intention or with selfish intention, right? They are trying to use you instead of creating a mutually benefiting exchange where it's give and give. Somebody wants to take and doesn't want to give anything. So you are being weakened and disempowered, right, from usage. Now, that can happen sincerely. That can happen from an unguarded visionary. That's not necessarily a design of evil. That could just be the naivety of the leader or the ignorance of the leader, or the unguardedness of the leader, and at times the pure selfishness, or inordinate ambition of the leader. But I love Apostle Paul a lot. He said, some preach the gospel out of envy, hoping to peel us down, and in pretense. He said, some preach it out of truth. Then he said, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is preached. In that I rejoice, yea, I rejoice. So you can't control. People can do whatever they want for whatever intention. What do you want in that exchange? You know, that should be your focus at every point in time, right? So I have been in situations where people were sure they were using me, but they were unaware of my own goal parallel to their own agenda, right? So in the same way, the devil was so sure he was killing Jesus. He was so sure. And he was so sure he was winning. But right in his devil's game, there's a virus that is God's game. And God's game is parallel to the devil's game. So the devil was superior. And even superior. Yeah. But, you know, so as the devil was doing everything he was doing, God was doing everything he was doing through what the devil is doing. So there's a sense in which you can lock your agenda, you can lock your own agenda in the agenda of your adversary, such that your adversary is doing all the work and you are achieving everything you are achieving. So I always tell people it's an agenda world. Know what you want and ask yourself, how does this serve me? Even the foolishness of this man, how does this serve me? What do I take? What's the silver lining in this? Every time you are clear about your agenda on any table, you have built a commitment that is above the intention of the stakeholders on that table. You just have to be clear about your own agenda. So the problem every time is purposelessness, right? You don't know what you want and what you're about on that table. So everybody's deploying you to their preference, right? When you should be deploying their own intentions to your own preference. And because the end of your goal is good, you are win-win. So everybody will be okay. Win-win. Everybody will be okay. So, but create your own agenda on the table at every point in time. Yeah, that's my response.
I took a course in Yale, right? Negotiation. And this is like 4 hours of what my lecturer was talking, the professor was talking about. This is exactly it. It's called SAFT, solution away from the table. Just know what you're doing. My dad will say, you can do whatever you want. Just know exactly what you're doing.
Yes.
Don't say, I was blindsided. I didn't see it. Just, you can do, it's your problem. It's your choice. You have willpower. But know exactly what you're doing. Don't be caught slipping, you know. And you also said something about the scales, measuring, and you know, oh my God, you said so much. I wanted to interrupt you. I was like, excuse me, but you were just, you know, I just let you flow. You know, in a world where people don't understand that, look, your intention may actually be orchestrated by God. As a matter of fact, let me tell you what gives me ease in my life and gives me peace. Just like you said, I have engraved on the plates of my heart, all things are working together for my good. And because of that, the good things, the bad things, matter of fact, I feel, this is how I see it. I feel that your misdoings to me, they're orchestrated by God or destiny or the universe or whatever you choose to call it to align me. But I have to see it well. I have to see that battle right. I have to see that well. My perspective has to be on point. And that has to do with me becoming someone in my mind. Because if I feel, oh, they're just out to get me, even the best, if all my life, and this is where wholeness, because we want to talk about wholeness now, this is where wholeness is key. If all my life people have strangled me, right? And someone is coming towards me and they reach out their hands to hug me because my experiences have been, you know, repeatedly like a stronghold, people strangling me. I just feel this person is coming to strangle me. And so I react, I push that hand away. And that's why we get weird in relationships. And people are like, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? Why are you so like this? Why is it? Because my perspective, my experiences dictate that. Because this has happened to me, it will continue to happen. So how do we get whole? How do we get healing from that kind of brokenness? Because it is brokenness. If I don't know how to receive love because of what has happened to me, if I don't know how to give love, if I don't know whatever it is, how do we get free from those mindsets? How do we break that stronghold so that we can be the highest and best expression of ourselves?
Yes. So there are so many angles to that, and I'm trying to be very honorable on this platform because I know you are always about practicality and take homes and takeaways, right? So this is one. So we have a choice every time we are confronted with issues. We don't like a tree. We can either cut the leaves and pretend that we've taken care of the tree, because when we cut the leaves, we create some more light. We have some better view temporarily, or we can just ignore the leaves and go pull it out from the roots, right? So I'm a root guy. And that is why I struggle with brevity, because it's easier. The tools required to cut the leaves are fast and easy. To uproot, it takes more time and resources and energy. So brevity is not my friend. I always have to, when I have to deal from the roots. So I like to deal with the roots, right? And part of that book is, I think that even psychology, science, and all studies have agreed that at the root of all adult behavior is experiences in childhood, right? That at the root of all adult behavior is experiences in childhood. And to imagine that that same child is born fearless. A child is born fearless. You will learn our fear. You know, every human being is born fearless, right? We learn our fear. Every human being is born with light. We learn our darkness and we perfect it, right? So when you think of that there's something empowering in the human birth in itself, that God is so faithful that it made us adequate to respond to whatever is coming in our world. It is the adults of our world that pretty much uproot all of those things in our life in the name of correction, in the name of training, in the name of teaching. A child is born curious and spontaneous. We beat it out of the life of the child. We correct it out of the life of the child before he's age 6. A child is born fearless. We teach him all his fear before he's age 6. You know, even from saying stuff like, behave well, or juju is coming, or this monster is going to come. You know, we already start teaching the child fear. You know, instantly, nothing is coming, right? You know, instead of embracing discipline and inspiration and, you know, having the capacity to stay in that moment and govern behavior and thinking, we just surrender to the cheaper idea of, Ojuju is coming, or, you know, the darkness is coming to get you, you know, and then we begin to mirror that fear for the child. A child is born spontaneous, you know, and they should never lose that spontaneity. You know, we correct it out of the child. We beat it. We punish it out of the child, you know, and then the child begins to master a different set of experiences, right? And so when we want to really solve problems and we are really committed to that, we have to go to the roots. And I always say that one thing I know, that if people deal with that, a car is so big, a ship is so big, a plane is so big, but you don't have to control the wings and everything in the plane. Just get rid of the steering. You know, just get the steering, and every part of the car will follow where the steering is going. Just master how to manage your own corner in that car. You don't need to worry about the tires at the back, or the trunk, or the boot, or the windscreen, or the doors. Just master that steering, that pedal. Just master that place, and the whole car, the whole ship will follow that direction. You know, and I think the fear of death is at the root of that. You know, and by the time you go close to some of the people we admire the most in this life, whether it is an Elon Musk, or it's a Barack Obama, or it's a Nelson Mandela, you will find this, you know, clear resolve within them. You know, you see these quiet assurance, you know, and you find that, you know, you find this sense of adventure. You know, they are not just afraid to stand, or scared to stand by what they understand, you know. So I think people are afraid when people tell you they don't want to take risk, for example. When you go close to them, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than just one, because these guys live in risk. The same guy that says, I don't like risk, got married to a woman, gave birth to a child. He has no mathematics to prove that he'll be alive in 2 weeks. But he gave birth to a child today. That's the biggest risk ever. You give birth to a child today, you can die tomorrow. And that child is orphaned, struggling through life. And you didn't let the possibility, you know you can die tomorrow. You know it's possible for you to die tomorrow, but you gave birth anyway. You sit for an exam, you invest all your saving in a business, you start building a house that you can't prove that you'll be alive in. You can't even prove you will finish that school in 4 years or you'll be alive in 4 years. You invest money in a direction, you are not even sure. You are putting all your hopes in a child in the hope that the child will turn out well. Nobody gave back to a child and said, this child, oh, by the time he's 18, he's going to commit a crime. Oh, by 21, he will not go to jail. You know, what a life, man. Nobody did that. When everybody, including Bila, everybody in jail were prayed for when they were born. Everybody in jail were prayed for, blessed. No parent said, oh, my daughter will be useless or my son will be in jail. Everybody wished their children well. Everybody had a naming ceremony. Everybody were blessed, but somehow things don't work. Things didn't work according to that, right? So I think that everyone should consider mastery over those elements that pretty much arrest every other thing, right? Your sense of mission is key. Your sense of adventure is key. Both of them can be arrested by your fear of death. And I always give an example of how my friend and I were going for a presentation at Sheraton Hotel in Lagos, in Nigeria, Maryland, Maryland, close to, I'm sure you know that point.
Say, Maryland.
Maryland bus stop by the traffic light, and you are going to Sheraton on Bank Anthony.
Yes.
Yes, there used to be a mobile filling station right on the right. You should know that.
There used to be the place where they sold the best as soon. Oh my
God. So you have that. So Sheraton and Maryland bus stop is just like 5 minutes apart. But 2 weeks before then, we were at, some people were at Maryland bus stop, and a medical doctor was shot there by some criminals, and it went viral, and everybody knew about that. 2 weeks after that episode was when we were there, and we were working on a presentation. We were going to Sheraton Hotel to do a presentation to some prospects. In the next 5-10 minutes, we'll be doing this presentation, and we were not ready. So we were working on it in the car. Then we got to the traffic light, and we had to stop at the same Maryland. And all the hoodlums on the right, on the left, young people, all kinds of things were going on. And my friend said, oh, we should put off the laptop, this. And I said, why? Take it easy. We have a meeting in 10 minutes. What are we going to say when we get there? We can't walk now, it's dangerous, I said, so when we get to the meeting, we'll tell you that, oh, sorry, we were not ready because, when we got to Maryland, we thought we would be robbed. So we decided not to do it, please don't understand. That's not serious. I said, so I'd rather have them come and get the laptop, because that's a better excuse. If you then get to the meeting, we'll say, what happened? Oh, the laptop was stolen. That's a perfect excuse. They will embrace us and give us another chance because they know it's not our fault that we were robbed. He said, it's not that easy. This was like a 2-3 minutes conversation. It's not that easy. What if they come to take the laptop, yes, and then they shoot us? And I said, well, it's true, they may shoot us. I said, but the bullet will miss us. I said, the bullet will miss us. Then he said, what if the bullet did not miss us? What if it hits us? And I said, well, to be honest with you, it's true. It can hit us. I said, but we won't die. I believe we will live. He said, but what if we die? People better than us are dead. I said, that is also true. Then they will have our dead body, not our fear. Not our fear. We have no reason to be afraid. Our fear doesn't stop the outcome. It just losing our capacity in the present and takes away our consciousness in the present. So whether we are going to die or not, it's not our fear that will save us. So they shouldn't have our fear whichever way. We have to die conscious if we have to die. We have to be die aware and standing if we have to die. We shouldn't die fearful. That's such a weak way to die. So you were afraid and you still died and you couldn't do anything. So it's better to be present. Maybe there's a window you will see. Maybe there's a way out. You will be in your composure. The environment can be arrested to show you a vista that is unthinkable in your fearful state. You see? So I said, I'd rather die and let them have my dead body. That's even a better deal. Maybe both of us will not die. You will still make it and you still get a deal. Maybe you will die, will not die, will get a deal. Or even if both of us die, then we have our dignity, our honor intact, not our fear. And I think that in that moment, that was easy for me to do and for me to say, and it's not that I was ready to, I just want to die, I'm just looking for death, you know, but in the circumstance, right, there's something else governing me that beats the smallness of that threat, right? And if the option is to be fearful, not work on the proposal, not do all that we needed to do, and lose that moment, lose the deal. I don't think anyone can be arrested by fear and fulfill destiny and really get to that place that God has designed for you. I think you're going to have a lower resolution of that place if you live your life through fear. To have the best resolution of that thing, you pretty much have to live your life aware of all the possibilities. You know, B.o.u.q.u.i, somebody told me some years ago to come and join him on a path. And I was going to be number 2 on that path. And I don't have a problem with being number 2. You know, and he's going to be in charge and we're going to walk through that path. And I told him, you know what? I respect that, but I'm not a cage bird. That's the problem. I'm not a cage. I'm not that bird that's going to be fed and eat at the preference of the cage owner. I don't eat like that. You know, you don't serve me the portion preferred by the cage owner. I eat what I want. I don't eat what is served, you know. I said, so, but let's be clear. The cage bird is fresher. It's well manicured, taken care of. His food is guaranteed. He will never go hungry, you know, and a parrot will repeat everything you are saying. It will do everything well. It will do perfectly. But I'm an eagle. I'm a jungle bird. I have to be out there. Now, it's a risk to be that eagle. I can be shot by a hunter. I know I can be hit by a plane. I can fly into the propeller of a chopper. I know there's a possibility the life of the cage bird is safer. Mine is pure risk, but that's who I am. The only way I can find meaning is to be out there soaring in the skies with all the risk. I have to be on the edge to know that if I trip, I die, for me to be myself. If you take away that element, there's just an incompletion within me, deep in my soul, that cannot find meaning in any way. Just knowing that the possibility of an event is around me, positive or negative, keeps me on my energy, right? And keeps me, you know, precise on many levels, and brings
out the authenticity.
Authenticity on many levels, right? So I say that I have to soar. I rather take the risk. And the truth is, I may be short. I may not achieve it. I may die 2 years into my jungle bird life, but I'll still be more fulfilled in that death than to have all the food supplied in the cage remaining in that cage. And there's nothing wrong with the cage, though. There's nothing wrong. It's not just
if that's your destiny.
That's your destiny. It's fine. It's not just my path, you know. So my conclusion, B.o.u.q.u.i, is to be true to yourself as much as you can. At every point in time, don't look for perfect scenarios. Focus on your best efforts, because God does not reward you with his best based on you meeting the best standard. Please, let's be clear. God never rewards you of his best based on your alignment with the best standard. God rewards you with his best based on the supply of your best. And your best may fall short of the required best, but it's your best. And once you supply your best, you get the best from God. You get the best from God. To whom much is given, more is expected. To whom little is given, little is expected. But the rewards are the same. And I think that is where we tolerate our imperfections. And that is where we permit ourselves to grow and stop complaining about what we permit, right? Just being mature to trust the process. So I say that the process justifies the end doesn't justify the process. The end can never justify the process. Otherwise, we open up another level of evil, right? The only way the end can be meaningful for all and unlock gratitude for all is when we respect the process. So it's in the process. So my joy and my fulfillment doesn't come from the end. It comes from unleashing myself in the process, even if I don't ever see the end. And that's why you see people in scriptures who said they never saw it, but in faith, they lived in it. Yes, yes, B.o.u.q.u.i, don't let me stop you there. Let's go.
No, because how did they know though that they didn't see the end?
Yes, so
because
in hindsight,
if you look at Jesus now, or somebody, you might say Martin Luther King did not see the end. But what if that was the end for him? What if his job was to just precipitate something?
and
What
you are
if his
correct.
job was to just like a domino, just to set it off?
Yes. Now,
So
the reason
really
why,
can't know.
you are so correct. Now, the point is, the reason why they were able to play their part in that longer picture was, and you see, it is in hindsight that the Bible said those guys did not see the end, right? In hindsight, the Bible showed us who are reading it today that they did not see the end. But when they were in it, because they believed in the process and they were focused on the process was the end for them. All their experiences was validated because of their affirmation of who they were in every moment. So I always tell people that I'm not going to succeed. I'm a success. My success is held together by 9 things every day. My right to love, to be kind, to be gentle, to be patient, to be self-controlled, to be good, to be joyful. Those words are your meaning every day, right? It's not some people are so poor. All they have is money, B.o.u.q.u i.
All they have is money.
All they have is money, right?
Can I come in a little? So we're
go.
talking about laws, right? I hope that does not distract you. Is that okay if I come in? We're talking about laws, right? And it takes a higher law to defy an existing law.
Correct.
A lot of people don't know that it's the law of replacement. You can't just say, oh, I'm gonna just take this out. In the universe, there's no vacuum. You know what I'm saying? If you you have to put something. You can't just take this out of my mind and then say, even in the Bible, they said that the demons left, and when they came back, they went to call 7. Oh, why this place clean? You know? So you're talking about laws, right? And a lot of people think that things that that people talk about, laws the Bible talks about, they think that they're suggestions, like simply don't do this so that this doesn't happen. When you buy an equipment, right, the first thing you see is a book of paper that says manual. And manual, when I broke the word down in Greek, I like to study, right? Manual and al, the manufacturer's mind, so manual, it tells you what the manufacturer has in his mind and how you can best appreciate and experience the equipment. But most of us never read the manual, and we just figure it out, and then it blows. The road, step down transformer. We didn't read it because we thought we know, right? Or we knew. Okay, so I want you to talk about faith as a law, because we're talking about the heroes of faith, right? And faith as a law. This was something that I was experiencing a while back. I was like, God, I want to do this. He said, so why don't you do it? But I don't. It said, well, if you get your ducks in a row, you don't need faith. If you do everything that you're supposed to, you will do everything. So there's a sequence to it, right? A lot of people think you do everything you have to do, and then faith comes. No, faith is actually what makes you do all that you're doing, so that you can reach that expected end. I want you to clarify, because you're talking, I'm saying this because it cuts across. You said 7 things you do daily. Love, you're patient, you're kind, and all this. These are laws. And whether you like it or not, if you jump from a skyscraper, you're going to break your leg, whether you're Barack Obama or whoever, because it's a law. Even if you sit down and study gravity, I will accept you get parachute. You're still coming down, even if you get parachute. It just slows down the rate of there's no way So these laws occur. And then faith is a law. Once I lock it in like a bulldog and I say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, it gives me the energy and the wherewithal to put in the necessary actions, because now I believe in the end that I see in my mind, which could be crazy to a lot of other people. So I want you to talk about faith and how it affects that first question that we never really got around to, my decision, like Samson. You said that someone was supposed to be a millionaire, and tried to steal to be a millionaire, to self-actualize the vision, right? And then before we know it, he was locked in jail. Eventually, he became a millionaire from writing a book in jail. Samson was supposed to deliver the Israelites, right? This is by no means a religious thing. We're just
Yes.
using what we know, right? He was supposed to deliver the people of Israel. He went around and did everything. He still did it. You know, he
Correct.
still did what he
Yeah.
was. They said that what he did in his death was much more than what
Yeah.
he did alive, right? What is the place of my choices? One, then the faith as a law. Does it just when I have that faith, does it just kick in like, so you know, like if you surrender to the law, you reap the benefits, or if you break it, you suffer the consequences? These are two choices from engaging in a law with the law, right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
is the place of faith in my journey, and how do I make sure and ensure that, you know, as I walk this path, knowing who I am? Because you've mentioned so many things. You've talked about speed and clarity, but what is the use of speed and clarity if I'm running in the wrong direction?
Correct.
I'm only just going to get to the wrong place faster. So I want you to, just in case someone is listening, I want you to clarify these things. And yeah.
Yes. So I see faith as a valid commodity. Faith is always valid.
Okay.
But faith is, for me, the highest level of intelligence. Faith is not stupidity at all.
Mm-hmm.
Faith is the highest level of intelligence. It is being able to trust a path or anything without the privilege of logic at times, right? Or what they call facts, because truth is logic. It's just that it beats our prevailing understanding based on the facts that we know. So, for example, if somebody tells Moses in the wilderness that a camera is existing, you know, and it tells the whole Israelites that there's something called camera, is the truth. There's something called camera. But there are facts, the prevailing fact at that time is too primitive to understand that. Such that if you actually bring that camera into Bible days and show them yesterday, that is, you show them the content of yesterday. Because what the camera will do is to show you, is to record it today and show it tomorrow. So if you show the people of Bible times yesterday, if you show them yesterday, I don't mean if you show them yesterday, I mean if you actually show them the content of yesterday, today, they worship you. Because the only way they relate with mystery is with devotion. So the moment you present anything that is mysterious, they will greet it with devotion. They're going to consider that you are a God. And you don't need to do it to do many things. You just need to begin to do that every day. And that is enough for them to say, is the God of yesterday. Because that's why they had God of iron, God of different things. Those are human beings who showed genius on a path of mastery. So Shango was pretty much bringing fire from his mouth. I mean, at that time, it was awesome. And that was incredible genius, right? In the same way, you had people, God of this, God of metal, God of that, who expressed genius at a level that they became deities because they were so avant-garde. They were so ahead of their time that the prevailing, you know, logic of their time could not capture that.
They defied it, yeah.
Yes, or for possible in their human experience. So you must be a God. We have to see you as a God of some sort, right? So in the same way, I think that is how till today we are visited by different experiences that are avant-garde, but are still true. It's just that it's avant-garde. It's away from our prevailing understanding of things or above our reality. So I think the beginning of that will be to accept that whatever we are seeing is partial. So that means reality in itself is incomplete every time. So reality is not true. Reality is fact. And fact is lower resolution of truth, because truth is a positive reality beyond the facts, right? There are many things and many scenarios that fact cannot capture. So if you live by your fact, you jail yourself automatically, because your fact in itself cannot capture the whole of truth, you see? So there so once you accept that, then I think that is when you grow. I think that is where you find yourself in a different place, because even your fact is now you are not free to suspect it, to question it, and to know that it is incomplete. So right now, it looks like you and I are static. It looks like we are static, B.o.u.q.u.i, but we are not static, because the world is spinning, right? The world is spinning right now, and it's spinning faster than the speed of anything you can imagine. But our reality says we are static. But the truth is we are not static, right? There are elements that make us feel that we are static. But the truth is we are not static, right? If you sit in a car that is moving at 200 kilometers per hour, and the driver is driving at 200 kilometers per hour, you almost want to die. You are almost grabbing the driver and grabbing the seat and say, slow down. Because you can feel and see and assess the speed and all of the energy that comes with it. But the same person who cannot manage 200 kilometers per hour sits in a plane that is God knows how many times faster than the car. But because he cannot feel the speed of the plane, and the environment in the plane is conditioned, and he cannot feel the speed, it's going to be very calm. If he can actually feel how fast the plane is, he will have jumped out of the plane before he realized that it's a worse condition, right?
It's like the roller coaster at the park.
Yes, or that restaurant in Dallas where you sit in the restaurant, it's moving 360, but you don't even know. You just see that your view is changing. The view is changing, but you are on one spot, but it's spinning. So there's so much more going on around us than we can possibly capture. And that is where faith comes in. Because I call faith intelligence, because what it allows you to do is to see beyond the limits of facts and your reality, and then to have enough clarity to zone into that, to lean into that, right? To lean into that, and that in itself is faith. Some people then define that as, oh, it's out of logic, so it's foolish. No, it is that I actually see if you actually see what I see, you will almost not be in faith again, because I'm seeing something that is away from your reality and from your prevailing reality. But I see it though. I really sincerely see it. I don't think that you shouldn't see faith, or faith is just believing in tabula rasa, or just some emptiness that you just want to create and figure something out there. There is no possibility. Desire is the validity of possibility. A white person cannot wake up in Rome and feel like eating, say, tuwo, in northern Nigeria. He can feel like eating that because it's not in his reality. So he's not going to have that outcome because he can't desire it. Desire must validate that outcome. Is the validation. The moment you can desire it, then it's within range. It's within range. It means you are seeing something, but not with your physical eyes. There's something that you conceive and you align with in the universe, within the elements that define that environment, that is true to you. Now, everybody cannot see it. So they say that you are out of logic, but you're not out of logic. The guys that saw that human beings can fly, the Wright brothers saw the plane, the guys that saw the camera, the guys that saw merchant banking, the guys that saw in the internet, social media, all of those guys saw something. It may not be tangible. They may even explain it to you and say, come and invest. You can't see what they are saying, but it doesn't change what they are saying. So for me, faith is validation, right? So in many places, but I want to put this in very strongly. Faith is, however, a gift to the human condition. Faith in what can be debated for the rest of our lives, depending on different view of religion. But faith in itself, even in the Bible, Jesus will say to some people that your faith made you whole. He didn't say, I made you whole. He said, your faith made you whole. In some scriptures, the Bible says stuff like, Jesus could not perform a miracle here because of their unbelief. God was still there. The person that heals was there, but nothing could happen because they didn't have faith, right? So faith is very personal. And I believe that it's just not just personal, it's dynamic. and it's creative. It can create what does not exist at all into being. So that is why I say that, how can you give me a plan, a faith, and a destination at the same time? Then you have discounted my faith, because my faith can create anything. So by the time you give me faith, all you can give me after that is freedom and possibilities, not a destination. I will create that destination, because faith in itself is a creative tool. It's a creating tool, right? It's a creating tool. Faith is 0 to 1. Faith is there from nothing. So if you have faith, you know, then having a destination is a limit on faith, because faith in itself can create anything. So by the time you give me faith, then the next thing you will give me is the freedom to use it and the possibilities that can come from it, right? So I also believe that our stories are written. But what is written for me, for example, is greatness. I think is written of me. Global influence, I think is written of me.
Me too.
I have accepted it enough to believe that I will have 80 million people locked in an ideology on my database. I believe that. 80 million culture shapers, action figures, impact makers, game changers in the world. I believe that. And then I'm working that out every day. Now, I don't have 80 million people in my database, but I have a promise of faith. And I've locked that into what the map that is in front of me, the image I see is 80 million people locked in an ideology. I see that already. And every day of my life is validated by my commitment to that image, you know. And so if I stay true to that, I don't think it is my job to actually make that picture happen.
Figure out how it happens.
I think that picture is bound to happen. And everything in my life, even the mistake I make trying to do that, then serves my purpose even. Because there is something that transcends my entire being and my logic and the contents of my experience right in front of me that I've seen. And so it transcends my errors as well. As a matter of fact, to even be given that responsibility, my error has been factored in. I always say this, Bookie, your mistakes cannot shock God. He anticipates them and he has prepared for them. So you can't be weighed down by that. But as long as you are living in your purpose and your errors, somebody told me, and I'm sorry to make this example, I'm so sorry, but somebody told me that a particular leader, you know, had a problem and had an affair. A big leader in America had an affair with his secretary, and, you know, he's going down. You know, he's resigning, they are forcing him to do this, and he's doing that and doing that. And I said to the person, well, I hear you. It's not anybody's dream. That should not be what should happen to me and you. I said, but all that is happening, if he has just the faith to believe that this is only a part of the journey, he will do even bigger things that anyone in that judgment room or judgment table can ever imagine. Because at every point in time, your most dominant experience is only a phase in your ultimate experience. At every point in time, your dominant prevailing experience is a phase in your ultimate experience, regardless of what it is. So I tell people that opportunity once lost goes in your future to multiply and reintroduce itself on a bigger level as a bigger opportunity. Opportunity once lost can always be regained, because opportunity missed goes into your future to multiply and return as a bigger opportunity. That must be true, or redemption is a lie. That must be true, or redemption is a lie. The confidence in repentance and redemption is because of that possibility in itself. Sorry, Bookie, go on. The answer have gone up twice.
I'm dead. Man, you guys, man, I hope you guys are having a good time. Buy badge now. Buy badges. Buy badges. Yeah, support your girl and buy my book. But hey, if you're just joining us, welcome to Bookie's Place. You know what we do here. We don't talk about the glitz or the glam. We talk about the grit and the grind. And I have the phenomenal Oh my gosh.
With humility.
He's been blowing my mind. He's been blowing my mind. There's something you just said, though, that's kind of like, I call it the blessing and the curse of the gifted. That's my own interpretation of it. The curse of the gifted. You have an image in your mind. You wake up, you see it. You sleep, you see it. You know that you have 80 million people that you will have in your database, but you're not there yet.
Yes.
And it depends on where you are. Your scale may be higher, but it's the same principles, right? A young boy has a music in his head. He wants to be like the Davido or someone. There's a girl somewhere that sees a photographer, wants to be big, and these dreams haunt you. You know how it is for gifted people?
Yes.
People will be like, calm down. Is it only you? You're sleeping in this. They don't understand that, like you said, without me expressing this part of me, I could never be fulfilled. This is actually what makes me me, what makes me authentic, what makes me tick, right? It's already factored in. It's in my DNA. So how do we deal with the now in anticipation of a future we hope for? Because, you know what, in my book, I don't know if you saw that part, that we went to a restaurant in LA, right? And the waiter waited on us very badly, and it affected
Yes, I saw that.
It affected how we, you know, the next time we just didn't like the restaurant, the experience and everything. She messed up all the menu and the serve, whatever, you know. And then we were supposed to go back again, and our friend was like, let's go back there. I'm like, no, we had a really terrible experience, but we convinced ourselves the food, you know, let's just go. We got there. This waiter was so nice to us. You know, the waiter was like, yada, 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 you know, I think you shouldn't eat that. You know, he was going above and beyond. Don't eat that, you know. I think you should try this, you know. And he was suggesting, he waited so much, so well, that when we were leaving, the other guy, we were struggling to even give him a tip. I give him $5, you know, like that. But this guy, we all contributed. Someone said, I'm giving him my own $10. Someone said, I'll give him my own $10. At the end of the day, the guy almost got more than the meals that we came to eat, because everybody wanted to give him based on the excellence of his service. Yeah. And when we walked away, the Holy Spirit was telling me that, you see how that guy waited? He's a waiter, right? That's the same thing for you. When I say you should wait and you're in the waiting room, how you wait determines the tip you get, the ideas I put in your mind, because our imagination is like God's storehouse, and he's projecting all these ideas into our heads. Are we bold enough to like latch on and say, I'm going to actualize it with courage, you know, and all that? So how do you manage the waiting period in anticipation, like without getting weary, without losing it, without conforming to somebody plant back in the day, someone plants tomatoes now, they can reap it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. If you plant cocoa, it takes so many years. You know, if you plant the Japanese bamboo or Chinese bamboo, it takes 17 years. How do you manage that waiting period?
So this is what I say, B.o.u.q.u.i. I say that every human being is 3 things away from their ultimate. 3 things every time. The first one is time. Time. And when I say time, I break down that into 2. To believe that the ultimate is done for you already. The ultimate is not what you do. It's what is done that they are telling you to come and act in. It's done. God declares the end from the beginning. So if it's not finished, it doesn't ask you to start. If he has not gone all the way and finished everything and taken care of all the mishaps that was possible, the way I tell people is this: if you are in a room that has 4 exits, and you need to go out of this room because there's a gold bar somewhere, once you open the right door, there's a gold bar, there's a bar of gold in front of one of the doors. There's a bar of gold there, but you have only one door to open. But there are 4 doors. If you go through the wrong door, there's no bar of gold there and you miss it. There's one bar of gold. It's in front of one door, and there are 4 exits. And you have to get one door. That's how your ultimate is. Now, the way it works is once you are, let me start with the last one of the 3, which is your why. You have to always be clear of your why and remind yourself of your why. I tell people, you can forget everything in life. Grace will still find you if you are clear about your why. If you forget everything, if you even miss discipline. You know, there's a scripture in Isaiah 38 that says that there is a highway of holiness. It says even a fool will not miss his way there. Even a fool. So, and there's someone that is worse than a fool, which is a prideful person. He said it's worse than a fool. So there's hope for a fool as well. If you are clear about your why, once you are clear about your why, and you don't lose that, lose everything, but never lose the understanding of the why of what you are doing, you will find your way. It could take more time. It could demand more discipline from you. It could happen to you at 60. It could happen to you at 75 instead of happening to you at 35, but it will happen. I think the only reason people miss their ultimate is because they miss their why, right? And that's why you see a scripture like, you ask, you don't receive. Sorry, it said, you don't receive because you don't ask. Then it said, even when you ask, you still don't receive because of your why. Because the why, the reason you want it is faulty. You need to be clear about your why and align your why with the universe. And every time I say the universe, people think the universe is some new creation conversation and it's an attack on God. No, God created the universe. The universe is God's creation, a lower resolution of himself for people who don't know him to cope till they meet him. That is the universe. God created the universe as a palliative measure, like an orphanage, right? So that when you are still looking for, the universe is God's systemic creation to help people who don't know him to navigate till they find him. So people should stop criticizing the universe. I was on a panel with some guy who is a new age, type of person, all kinds of religion mixed together. That gentleman, amazing gentleman, very conscious, very deep, and we're on the same panel. And I was representing the faith community, and I was representing, Christianity, and we're all talking, and questions were coming, and we got to the universe, and he found me using the universe, and rarely did I say God or Jesus. I was just speaking about the universe. So, so somebody took me on in the audience and said, sorry, when the person is a Christian, when you say universe, you keep using universe, then I broke it down. And I said, look, God is very dynamic. Not everybody, it takes a relationship with him. It takes a walking, talking access to live in God's intent at a level. And that is not going to happen to everybody at once. So God created the universe and looped it so that mankind can find engagement till they find him. And the whole hall went gaga. At the end of that program, B.o.u.q.u.i, this gentleman came to meet me. He's actually Greek. The guy is Greek. For real. It's not that he studied Greek. He's Greek. He's a philosopher. He's all of that. He came to meet me at the end and said, for the first time in his life, he finally found a connection between the universe and God. And that he was never able to connect that. And he has always just felt the universe is everything and the universe was enough. And this is the first time in his life that there's actually a possibility that the universe is a means to a bigger idea and not the idea in itself.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me I want to give my life to Christ. He didn't say I want to become a Christian, but I know that
you started a process.
And now it started a process in him, in that moment. So we should respect what creation is, such a beautiful thing, and it's God's handiwork. And there are things in the moon, in the galaxies, All of these things are God's handiwork, and they are blessings on many levels because God created them, right? So having said that, if people can just live out, and it's easier to live to the elements than with God, because to lean into all that God is, you have to die. You know, some things have to happen. I don't mean physical death, but
Yeah, like,
you know,
yeah.
there's a visitation, and experience must happen. You know, and this is not what you do. It's not works. It's God's creation all the way, right? Before that becomes your reality, you have the universe to deal with. So I tell people, always come into that place where you just honor the gifts of the universe around you. And part of that is whether you're going to be Bill Gates, or you're going to be Elon Musk, or Billy Graham, or Nelson Mandela, the universe demands that your why is right. Your why must be correct. Once your why is correct, the all elements find you. Now let's go back to that room and that bar of gold. So in that bar of gold, somebody can say, I want to find this bar of gold because I need to be rich. That's the wrong why. That's the wrong way. You may never find it, because the bar of gold is not on every door. It's only on one door. And you are a human being. And God knows you may go through the wrong door. You need some other type of quickening to make arrangement for your error. And that means you have a security. Life in itself has a bet on your value. It means that your mistakes is key to life in itself. Even life, because you have the right why. Even life cannot afford you missing that bar of gold. So it's not you. So once you think like that, then you realize that dreams are not designed to be pursued, to be ahead of you. That's why I don't believe in hustle. I believe in positioning. I don't believe in running around. I believe in positioning, right? Because goodness and mercy shall not be before you to be pursued all the days of your life. Goodness and mercy shall follow you. Your dreams and your ultimate are always gravitating towards you. Your dreams are always looking for you. The problem is you are in hustle, and you are always looking for what is looking for you. So you always miss each other. When it gets to you, you are not there. You are looking for it. By the time you get there, it's not there. It's looking for where you are, because your dreams are designed to pursue you, to gravitate towards you. You don't pursue your dreams. You position for your dreams. And the beginning of your positioning is your motive, your why. I'm yet to find one person with the right reason, with the right motive that the universe will not find and sort out. I've not found that person, regardless of his mistake. Even the mistake he makes, trying to figure that out or trying to execute that with the right why as the foundation, we work together for his good. So the way it works is, if your goal is to have that bar of gold so that your enemies can know that you have a God, you still have the wrong why. It's not still the why. If the reason you want that gold is such that your family can know that you have tried, you're not going to have that gold. Pepper them. It's not, you're not going to have that gold. There's no part of that why that is because of you. The why is always to unlock the gratitude in your area of influence. It's never about you. You are just a means to that end. You are a conduit that the water will pass through for those who are thirsty. Now, whether you like it or not, when the water passes through you for those who are thirsty, even if you don't want water, a residue of what you are passing out will remain in you. For he that waters will himself be watered. It's not that people are going to come. You can't pass value to people and value will not remain in you. It's just the way it works. If you are a pipe passing out water for people to drink, a residue of what you are passing out will remain in you. It is the principle and the law of exchange. It's just the way it works. So you don't need to worry about success as a goal. Success is an experience. It's what happens when you make things happen for people. A residue of that commitment remains in you, even whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, whether you believe in it or you desire it or not. It's just the way it works. So it's always about the people. Now, once you clear your why, this is back in the room now. Pray to God and say, God, my conscience is clear. I'm not going through exit A because I love exit A. I have no passion for exit A. I have no love for exit. I don't want exit A. I just want the door with the bar of gold that you want me to walk past for the reason of lifting my world. This is what I want to do. I don't have a passion for exit B. I don't have a passion for exit C or D. I have no passion for any. I just want to get the bar of gold in the door that has it to fulfill this mandate that I want to fulfill. If that is your goal, pass through any door. After the clarity with God, and you prayed and sincerely in your mind and in your spirit, you believe exit A is what God wants you to go through. Now, don't forget, the bar is on exit D, but you're not aware. The bar of gold is on exit D. It's not in exit B. It's not in exit C. It's not on exit A. It's on exit D. But sincerely in your heart, after praying with your why in place, you believe A is where you should go through. That's where the bar is. You will go through A. You will open that door. And the bar is going to shift from exit D to exit A. That's what's going to happen. Because the outcome is never tied to the perfection of your judgment. It's tied to the perfection of your why, and the agenda of God align with your why. Once that is done, the outcome is guaranteed regardless of your error. That is where dreamers fail. We know how to mount the dreams, to perfect all the strategies and everything. We miss the why. So what will the world gain from this car you desire? How does this car, you want to be like Elon Musk? Do you know how Elon Musk is changing the world? You think it's about the money he has? Do you know what Tesla is doing in the world? Do you know what Elon Musk said, Bookie? Elon Musk said they make all of the ideas and all of the thinking and all of the secret and all of the technology that makes Tesla, they make it open source. They don't hide it. So they put a trademark, they put the patent out for anybody to see. And somebody asked them, what if people see and do a better car? He said, that's the goal. He said, we want to challenge you. If anybody can make a better car than Tesla and it close our business, we'll still have fulfilled our mission. Because our mission is not to promote Tesla, it's to change the welfare of humanity in the world. So if we are able to help somebody to even disrupt Tesla completely and end Tesla and do something better for the world, we are still fulfilled. How does that kind of person not be the richest man in the world? How? You tell me. How is that person going to miss all the money in the world? Right? Or is it somebody who is so rich, single-handedly contended with polio in an entire continent and wrestled it down? And then you say that God will not supply that kind of person with money? How is the world benefiting from the value you represent? You want a lot of money so that girls can humble before you, so that you can put your hands under their blouse and then oppress the little people around you, or come to church to give a testimony that you bought a car, so that those who don't have it become the relevance of that testimony, not that you have received a machine to improve your effectiveness or to improve your speed or your capacity in the world or to increase your efficiency. That's not what the car is doing to you. The car is important and the testimony is valid, not because of the value of the car, but because of the lack that exists in the majority that are listening to that testimony. It is the emptiness in the people that defines the relevance of that testimony in that minute, not the essence of the car. So these are the things we miss. So why do you want children? What's what the children come to do in the world? Armed robbers have children. Wicked people have children. Bin Laden, who kills people, has about 40 children, I think, if I'm correct. He has so many kids. And then a pastor is begging God for a baby that an armed robber did not beg God for. You know, it doesn't just make sense. So I always tell people, instead of worrying about, because I didn't have a baby for 9 years, and I could not for the life of me kneel down to pray to God for a baby, because there's a woman who is naked in front of my estate way back, naked, stinking, unaware of her environment. She got pregnant. And who got her pregnant? I think only 3 people could have done that. Is that a sexual pervert, or a fellow, somebody who's also off, mentally, or some ritual killer, or some ritual person, or some kind of person like that. I don't know a 4th person. Now, assuming getting pregnant is a result of moral excellence or spiritual alignment or faith compliance, right? Or inner discipline or consciousness. Assuming that is the path to conception, which one does the naked thinking woman and that pervert have? Which one, where is it in that mix? But they gave birth to a baby all the same. Killers give birth to a baby. Rape, somebody who came to rape B.o.u.q.u.i, a rapist, he came to rape bad enough. He rapes a girl and the girl gets pregnant. Then I, a man of God, will now kneel down and be begging God for the same baby that a fool can have? No, come on. Instead of worrying about that, there must be something about having babies that we don't understand. And that is why we descend to our selfishness and our why becomes wrong. And we begin to wonder where the baby is coming from. Instead of me worrying about when the baby is coming, I'm asking God, what kind of baby is coming anyway? And who do I need to be to receive this baby? And to nurture this baby? Because I don't have a doubt that you can bring this baby overnight. You know, if it's not coming, it's not malfunction. It's design. So what is the design? How can I live with this design?
Wait. Look, smoke is coming out of my ass already. But wait, it's not malfunction, it's design.
Yes.
That's big time perspective right there.
Yes.
That's not a game for small-minded people.
No.
Because you know what, everywhere we go, we hear, it's God. It's God. What did I do to deserve this? And you're talking about it's not how well that you act. It's not how good you are that justifies how well your life will come out, your outcome and all that. So I want you to talk to us about, you know, being in that state and being content. Because you see, now social media, everybody's living a fake life. Even if it's not fake, they're highlighted reels on Instagram. And you take your reality that is gradually being built, and you take your reality, you compare it to someone else's edited highlight, and you think you're falling short in your eyes already. You know what I'm saying? And then the game for comparison comes in, and you know the Bible says that those that compare themselves by themselves are not wise. So how do I, as a young person emerging in this age, take my dream, stay focused, lock in my faith, and go get it, instead of, you know, comparing, taking it, wrapping it up, and trashing it just because it does not measure to someone else's expectation? How can I be that person?
Yeah, so I think that something I never got to say is the blessing in losing the fear of death. And part of what I say in my classes is that the day you lose the fear of whether God will take care of you or not, that is the day your freedom begins.
Liberation, yeah.
The day you lose that fear. And the beginning of that fear, because research has shown that at the root of all fear, whether it's the fear of darkness or height or phobia for whatever, at the root of it is the fear of death. People are just trying not to die. And in their concern not to want to die, they have all kinds of fear. I think that there's no seniority in the grave, nor is there exertion. When the Bible says we die daily, is because of a conditioning to respect the state of hibernation, right? That there's a state of hibernation that you have to be in that gives you a tranquility to live within your reality, whatever it is. Because like I said, the reality is incomplete anyway, right? To be able to live in it, you have to die. You know, I always tell people, I hug them and I say, you are too alive. You know, you are too alive. You feel everything. You know, you feel everything anywhere. Somebody is not smiling well at you, you feel it. You are too alive. Somebody said, I'm sensitive. I said, no, it's not about you are too alive. You feel too much. You know, you need to learn to die. And they said, except a corn of wheat will fall to the ground and die, it really cannot abide. You know, because if you don't accept that state where everything outside of you becomes arrested by everything going on inside of you, you have to so activate the narrative inside of you that it arrests everything going on outside of you, you know, and is to know the truth and to lie to your brain, you know, because the brain must be deceived by good or bad. The brain needs to be deceived. The winner is the one that can deceive the brain, because your brain does not know the difference between good and bad, right? And if you are sad and you live in the reality of your sadness, your brain is going to produce experiences of sadness around you. It begins to curate your environment. Everything begins to, your energy, everything begins to, before you know what is happening, you begin to lose yourself. Before you know what is happening, you are in depression. So once you feel like that, feelings are necessary feedbacks to be arrested by truth. You must arrest it, right? And that is inner conditioning. Okay, so for me, to know that there's so much, you know, even if it is true, you said something so powerful, even if every time you have to represent to somebody else information they cannot use, is gossip, even if it is true. Gossip is not just when you talk about people, it's the peddling, association, or promotion of information.
Unusable data.
Yes, unusable data. Every time you share that. So if you come and show me the picture of your food unnecessarily, you know, you think you are not gossiping, but it is still fake. Every time you represent an unnecessary information or you peddle it, you are fake. That action is fake. Even if it is true that you own the food, even if it's true that you paid for it, even if it is true that it is yours, it becomes fake because it is an unnecessary presentation and an unnecessary emphasis of a moment. That is poison to those around you. So, and it's still representative by the time we get down to it, most of the time, of a struggle inside of you and an esteem gap inside of you. For some people, it's just not being present and it's just, you know, wasteful excitement. You know, just take care of everything, they don't even know what's going on. They are just in the funk. They are branded into the funk, and without understanding the why of the funk or the science of the funk, they're in the funk anyway. And so they're just practicing it without the why. So those are tools, those are pawns. They are needed to scale any idea. They will always be there. They're the ones that allow the AI to work. So they have to be there. Now, there are some other people who think they know the why, but they are still in the jail of their own weakness because they still emphasize the unnecessary. Gossip, you can gossip alone. You don't need two people to be there. The moment even if you are watching a movie that is unnecessary for you in that moment, you are in an act of gossip. Gossip is association with unusable, unneeded data. The moment you don't need that information, gossip is peddling, associating with information you cannot use. So if you watch a movie, somebody watch a movie, and I ask the person, what did you learn in the movie? He say, man, I learned that, man, evil is bad. I said, oh, so it's at 36 that you learned that evil is bad. So all this life you have been living, you didn't know that evil is bad. It is today that you learned that evil is bad. Come on. Tell me you just went to use your time in the direction of leisure. Don't tell me you learned anything. Maybe a movie can teach you a lot, but that's not one of those movies. I'm sorry, with due respect. There's nothing in that movie that should be teaching you anything at 36. You know, that's gossip. So you can gossip alone. If you are reading a magazine alone that cannot profit you in that moment, or once you close the magazine, the things you took from it cannot be applied anywhere. It's gossip. You just gossip. You just went to receive information you cannot use. You just overemphasize unusable data that is not transferable. So for it not to be gossip, it has to be transferable. So what is the goal? So even if you take a picture of your shoe and put it on your page and say, shoot, you know, what is the goal? I'm not saying you don't take the picture, but what is the transferable quantity in that emphasis in that moment? Once you don't do that, it's fake. And people are locked into that, but that is part of the energy of social media. Without it, social media cannot grow. The AI will be useless. So people have to participate in that economy. And the creators of the economy are the beneficiaries. Every other person are the slaves who are locked in that exchange, right? And they're not converting anything for themselves. But being your authentic self and losing that fear, I always tell people, go out of your way, Google it, buy anything, invest in materials, attend any course, anything that helps you to navigate fearlessness over death, especially. Embrace it, because the freedom promised in that is unimaginable. is that steering. Once you defeat that fear, you almost have defeated everything life can ever throw at you, you know. But be accepting of yourself, stay in your moments, accept your imperfection. A big I capable of changing your life is always watching you, right? Believe you are in that script, because you are. You are. And everything happening to you by fault or default, as long as your why is right, let's not forget that. Once your why is right, everything is working together for your good. Now, choose your own company. Let people qualify for the investment of your time and your energy. Let them qualify. Choose the community or the material, the environment, and the people and the moments that are deserving of your time and your energy. Because, B.o.u.q.u.i, at the end of life, when death is sure, retirement is guaranteed, and our legacy is being defined, our life is proportional to only three things: the people we allowed into our life or those we denied access, the geographies or locations we permitted our life to see or we refused to see, and the priorities we place on our moments and the events that we experience. That is life. Your duty is to be loyal to the defense, the protection of those three, right? You won't be perfect in doing that, but the commitment to doing that. And this is what I know. The commitment to do something is validated by life above the doing in itself, right? Even in scripture, Abraham never killed Isaac. But in Hebrews 11, we learn that we receive Isaac back from the dead. We receive Isaac back. Abraham, by faith, received Isaac back from the dead, but he didn't kill Isaac, because the act was done here. This is where everything is happening. And this is where God is looking at. And once all our actions and our thinking are right here, everything falls in line, right? There's no way you will miss that ultimate place if you learn to define the why, remind yourself of the why every time, right? Be selective about the people, places, events, and moments that qualify for the investment of your time and your energy, right? Build the community that serves the pictures that live inside of you. You will not miss anything, even when you make the strongest mistake on that path. That is what I believe. Quieting the noise requires that you are comfortable with yourself alone. That is another level of maturity. If you are in that place where you are not on your best day, you need human beings and human contact to find your highest meaning, you are still small on many levels. When you grow up and you are strong, part of that is you are comfortable alone with God and yourself. The moment you can find your highest nutrient alone with yourself. I always tell people, I enjoy my presence more than any other presence. The only, oh my God, I love to be with myself.
Me too.
There's so much going on in my world that, man, I just love it, right? I'm so comfortable with that. When I bring human contact in, you know, on many levels, it's performance for me. 90% of the time when I'm with people, I'm performing. Necessary performance, though, because they need it. They need it for their own balance or for their own reality, of their own clarity. I have to show up. That is my usage. That is the usage of me. And usage is the guarantee of engagement. So I have to make myself available. But I can't wait to go back into my time with myself, right? Because that is where I enjoy myself the most. We all have to grow to that place where we become extremely comfortable alone with ourselves. That is when you get numb from all of this noise around you.
Wow. Someone has a question. I don't want to go without asking the question. Oh my God. Usage is the proof. Anyway, PK, sir. Thank you. I am Paul Oyewusi says, PK, sir, thank you. At what point do you think one breaks out from the waiting on an idea? Like when maybe what he's trying to say is the question in my mind, right? We've talked about the door, we've talked about the gold bar, but ability of God to transfer the gold bar from the from where it was originally to where it needs to be, because you are aligned, right? How, maybe what he's trying to say is, at what point do I stop knocking on the door? You know, they say just stay there, knock, be persistent, be perseverant, persevere and stuff, you know. At what point do I walk away from a door?
Yeah, so I'm not an apostle of perseverance. I think it's overstated. I think it's really overstated. But before I do that, I just want to recognize some people I've been seeing here. Toyosi, I see you. Jasmine, I see you. Peter Dingba, I see you. John Obidi, I see you. They've all said things to me personally, and for some reason, I've not acknowledged it. So, guys, I see you all. I see everybody.
Sorry, guys.
I just
Sorry, guys. We see you.
We've been so consumed, and B.o.u.q.u.i have been trying to acknowledge people as well, but I think we just got into this, right? So, I believe in science a lot, B.o.u.q.u i. And I believe that everything we call spirituality is yet to be understood science. And everything we call science...
Say that again. Everything that we call spirituality is yet to be understood science.
Yes.
The mystery.
Yes. And everything we call science is understood spirituality.
Understood,
right?
Spirit.
Because God is the God of science. If you understand what God did in the human body, if you understand what God did in the galaxies, you understand that God is science. So I believe that the only reason why science is arrogant away from God is because custodians of spirituality are the ones by themselves making a distinction between God and science and abandoning the scientist to himself, because the spiritual people are not taking credit for God in science. And so the scientists have no choice but to credit himself for what is happening in the scientific experience that he's having, right? But for me, science and God are one, right? I believe God is the creator of science and is the one in the custodian of that science. Now, therefore, he reveals it and chooses his custodians, those who are ready for it. Therefore, perseverance has its place, but I always say that there's time for everything, right? There's a time to hold on, and giving up is a skill. Hold on to what God is not really validating. You will continue to hold on because you have a right to do that as an adult, but you will give up the ghost. It's just a matter of time. It's not, there's time to give up and there's a time to hold on to something, right? And so you can't continue in perseverance. I think perseverance has a season, just like hope. Hope not converted into outcome within a time frame will brew your weariness.
But how do I know the time frame?
Yes, that's where I'm going. Within a time frame. Because hope does not make ashamed. But if we get down to some of the scriptures that define that, there are a lot of things that should be added to this, add that to that, add that to that. And the last thing to add is hope. Before they now said hope make it not ashamed. But the Bible also says hope deferred make the heart sick. And it is hope doing the making. It's hope doing the making. Hope sustained unnecessarily will become the very designer of your weariness. You know. So I believe that perseverance is permitted when there is a foundation of intelligence. So without a foundation of intelligence, it can be disrespect for God's design in itself. For example, somebody is hungry. He feels it in his tummy that he's hungry because he's hungry. I love scripture so much. You know, it's my best book. You have a scripture that says that those who have their senses trained to discern good and evil have their senses trained. So your senses can interpret divinity on many levels. So when you are hungry, you don't say, God, should I eat? You don't pray like that. You just go get your food, you know, because that's God's voice. If you touch a metal, boom, and the metal is hot. Because the Bible says, acknowledge him in all your ways. You don't say, God, should I drop it? God, should I drop it? You don't have to acknowledge you in all my ways. Should I drop it? No.
Tell me.
You just drop it because the pain you feel
Reflect.
at touching it is God's voice. You know you have heard God. God has told you, drop that thing already. You drop it. And when you drop it, you say, thank God. For what? You are thanking him for the instruction because you know you have to drop it. You don't seek clarification on that. The problem is we touch so many things like that. And because the pain are not translated instantaneously, like that of a metal, we struggle with when to drop it. And we begin to hang around that and talk to God unnecessarily about it. And God is just looking at you like, hey, this has nothing to do with me. You know, I told you it is. So the universe operates in a loop, night and day, night and day. That is a cycle of guaranteed experience. Once you come into the loop, the experience is guaranteed. If you are a human being, the loop is there will be night and day, night and day, morning and evening, right? Eating and excreting, waking up and sleeping up and sleeping. Those are all loops. So life is a loop. We all have to find ourselves in the loop. Even when Jesus said it is finished, it was a loop. It just looped everything. Every time you understand the loop and you find yourself within the loop, the results will be guaranteed. So I don't think that anyone should just wait without demonstrating acceptable intelligence. And that means you've given you've aligned with your God-given faculty. You've used your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your body, you know, your senses, your faculty, your intuition. You've used everything in the direction of that goal, right? 80 or 90% of the time is enough. It's always enough. That is why the richest people in the world don't go to church. They don't do vigil at Samsung. They don't do anointing oil. They don't pray 5 times a day at Apple.
Facebook.
At Facebook. They don't face the sun to pray at McDonald's. You know, they don't do prayer of agreement, you know, at Microsoft or Coca-Cola, right? These guys, some of them are even atheists, right? But they are running some of the most effective organizations in the world. And they are not stealing, they are not robbing, they are not cheating. It's just superior customer care, superior product development, market penetration, and they are doing it all day, every day. Billion-dollar companies, incredible wealth in the hands of some of these people, right? So, and they are doing that without reverence to God at all. In fact, this is what Bill Gates said. He said, in terms of the allocation of resources, religion is a waste of time. He said, in terms of the allocation of resources, religion is a waste of time. You can't judge him. He was richest man in the world for how long? He's still extremely rich. He's a billionaire. You can't question what he's saying, even if it's not perfect, what he's saying. But he can say it because he's the richest man in the world. You know, who can if you are a Christian right now and you put a conference out, you know, how to have the key to wealth. Well, you're not talking to Bill Gates. I'm not talking to Elon Musk. But how much do you have yourself? You know, a unit, the non-profit of Bill Gates is richer than almost all churches. I mean, with all humility, or any mosque anywhere, almost, right? Just the non-profit of Microsoft, not even Microsoft itself. What about that? So my thinking is, how are these guys able to connect with the biggest ideas without the privilege of devotion?
Relationship.
Yes, without the privilege of relationship with God. How are they able to do that? Are they hacking a code in God and making it happen without his permission, which is not possible? Or God is actually permitting them to have that access, right? Because they have a positioning that agrees with God's agenda. Because people forget that God has an agenda to humanity and then to the kingdom. And when agendas, it may miss kingdom alignment, but they pass humanity alignment, and God will honor that as well. Because God has commitment to all people. He said, do good to all men, then especially those of the household of faith. So God has a commitment to both. So once you understand that, then you begin to see that there is an endorsement in the human condition itself. I don't want to go down into some spiritual communications, you know, but the truth is you don't need to be a Christian to do most of what needs to be done in this life. You don't need to worship any God to do most of the things that need to be done in this life. The reason why you need to be with God in this life is not necessarily for what you will do, but for the reality of eternity. And the connection of space and time, right? That must be happening now, not later. And that is why God is a factor in our present reality, right? But to do things to give back to the next level of the internet, or to produce the cure to cancer, or to be the richest man in the world, or to make the biggest money, you really don't have to have a walking, talking relationship with God. You just need to be a human being with the right why, aligned with the universe, and those things will happen. If you now place kingdom agenda on top of that, you should be doing the biggest things in the world, not looking up to those doing the humanity things. The people doing the humanity things will be looking up to you. So most of the time, we've not even touched the kingdom things. Symposium discussion in future. But right now, we are saying align your why, right, and engage basic intelligence. So what does that mean? A lady, so part of what I do, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm sure you're not aware. I run a program called Be Ready. It's a matchmaking service.
Oh, matchmake me. I'm ready. I'm old enough.
So part of what we do there, through one or two of my partners, is just connecting people who really want to get married, particularly in 1 year. You know.
1 year is too long. Can we wait end of the year? So can we cut in fast track? Can we expedite?
You know, and I meet all kinds of people come with all kinds of spiritual ideas. You know, what God is saying to them, and this, and I always ask them, hey, are you ready to marry? Really want to marry? Because I tell them, should I go and give you examples of people who don't know God and are having a fantastic time in their marriage? Do you know that marriage is a gift to the world as their mouth is? Is there a Christian mouth? Is there a Christian, you know, nail? Is there a Christian air? You know, don't you know that is how God has compartmentalized some experiences in the universe, and anyone that aligns with the nutrients that define it, we have that experience. And there are people who have beautiful marriages and they are not going to any church or any mosque or anywhere, right? So I say that they are just laws. If we obey that law, don't tell me you are waiting on God if you have not obeyed those laws. I believe in waiting, but I believe waiting is necessary after you have given respect to basic intelligence. When you are done with what the intelligence, your God-given intelligence can do, that is when God never performed a miracle in the Bible that medical science could heal. What about that? Beat that. There was not one miracle in the Bible. Remember that there were doctors. Luke was a doctor. And then that woman with the issue of blood, they said she has gone to so many doctors. So all of the healing in the Bible were healings that no doctor could fix. Think about that. There was no physician who could fix them. I concluded that all the challenges that physicians could fix, physicians were fixing them. And here was God fixing the things that beats. And that was why people gravitated towards it. Because it was the only option. There was no option to those conditions. You see what I'm saying? And so let's be clear. If you pay attention to the basic God-given intelligence in the human experience, you will find most of what you have. And if after doing that, you don't have it, then that is when you are qualified to wait. So when people come to me, we do three things every time. First of all, I have helped, and I say this with all humility, having struggled with childbearing for 9 years, I came up with some basic understanding, and I've worked with about 21 different parents since then who have had their babies with joy. And I did not pray with one of them, even though every time it was a spiritual exchange, but it wasn't filled with the drama that people are used to.
Expectation of prayer.
Yes.
How
and all I do is to have a conversation with them, show them their rights, let them see that God has no plan to torture you in any way, and that a lot of your experiences are not malfunction, but design. I show them the possibilities in the design, and I shift them away from the possibility of the malfunction that has consumed them, and that gives them a calmness. And then they give birth. Because most of the time I found that their limitation is always trapped in their anxiety. And the moment we take that out, the elements just fall into place. The universe gives way, and God's capacity moves in to fix that problem. The same thing with those who are trusting for healing. And I've struggled with a few things myself. And those that I work with who are struggling with relationships. And I say, there's just a way this works. By the time we change the way they see themselves, by the time we change, and when I say the way they see themselves, I'm talking about I'm beautiful, I'm fearfully made. That's not what I'm talking about
I'm
at
great,
all.
I'm kind, I can.
Yeah, not that at all. I'm simply talking about the
I have a
existential.
question though.
Yes,
That
I'm
I
coming
want
to
to.
that.
I
Okay, let me
want to
take that.
say so
Let
that
me
I
take
want
that.
to say so that you say it with what you're
Okay,
saying
let me
now.
take
It
it.
aligns with that. We're
Let me
talking
take
about intelligence. I hear you talk about intelligence, and we know there are three basic types. It's in my book: the AI, the AQ, the EQ, and the IQ. As a balanced person, you must have your adaptability quotient checked, your emotional quotient checked, and then your intelligence quotient checked. That's what we're really talking about here. So I just wanted you to infuse that into, because what you just did to these people, back in the day, they would hypnotize people so that they can get stuff done, right?
Yes.
So what you just did in essence to these people, you gave them a paradigm shift.
Yes.
And so the problem that was like a mountain now became like a small pebble they could leap over. So I just wanted you to
Yes. In fact, what
that.
I did with those people is their natural state is to get them back to their natural state in alignment with their elements, with their universe and their humanity. And once they get to that, because that is the state of supply. That is the state of supply, Cookie. What I mean by that, for example, is if your food is in your dining room, they are going to serve your food on your dining table. For some reason, you are in the Arctic, or you are in the, you've taken a walk. It doesn't matter where you have gone or whatever took you there. If you really have to eat, something that will convince you to come back to your dining table, because that's where the food is, right? So you are going to go to where the food is served. If you're going to go to a restaurant, I don't care how many places you go in the world. If you're going to eat that food, you have to go into the restaurant to go eat it. A lot of times, the position, that's why I said I don't believe in pursuit. I believe in positioning. A lot of times people are out of positioning and they are going all everywhere looking for what is waiting for them on their dining table or what is waiting for them in the restaurant. And they just need to calm down and just knock themselves off all these things that are in front of them, take the simplicity of the dining table, go sit there, and the food is there, right? A lot of times they've overrated everything and they're looking for the food everywhere but the dining table. You see? So I believe in spiritual intelligence, okay? And I believe everything you have said, you have listed, the AQ, the IQ, the IQ, the AQ, the EQ, the IQ, as the combination of them is spiritual intelligence. Now, a spiritual person is not somebody who is just spooky or creating goosebumps all day long. A spiritual person is a connected person. So the more spiritual you are, the more relatable you become. The more spiritual you become, the more connected you become. So when you are spiritual, so for example, people say that there's something called maybe a secular message, or they say, oh, it's a secular song. Why are they saying that? They say because the song does not have the name of Jesus in it. The message is not talking about Jesus, so it's secular. Now, it sounds right, but it's wrong. Because even by the dictionary, secular is not things that doesn't have the name of Jesus. First of all, Christianity is not the only religion in the world. There are all kinds of things in the world. So nobody can be saying the name of Jesus defines secular. So secular is anything, anywhere, any message, anything, as long as religious ideas does not have social significance, that is secular. So even if you are in church on Sunday morning, preaching in the name of Jesus, if the conversation you are having does not have social significance, it is a secular message, even though you are in church and you are teaching in the name of Jesus. The moment religious ideas does not have social significance, it is no longer spiritual. It is now secular. And so many spiritual people, because they are in an environment of religion, or they are laced with religious lingo, think that they are spiritual, but everything they are doing does not have social significance. It doesn't connect to everyday issues of contemporary life. So they are spiritists and they think they are spiritual. So a Bill Gates is spiritual. The devotion of spirituality is a different thing altogether. Spirituality does not mean you are a Christian. There are people who are spiritual who are Muslims. There are Buddhists who are spiritual. There are Christians who are spiritual. Now, spirituality is an environment. Your focus in that environment is a different ballgame altogether. So in the spiritual realm, we have demons there, right? We have demons in the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
We have angels there. We have God there. We have devils there. There are all kinds of things in the spiritual realm. Because I'm spiritual doesn't mean I'm a Christian. I could be demonic and I'm spiritual. Because I'm in the elements that define an exchange that transcends reality. And I'm in that zone. I'm spiritual. So I always tell people, when you are spiritual, your connectedness, your sense of discernment, right? That's why people who created internet, they are spiritual people. They may not go to church, but there's a spirituality in that connection. Because academics is what you are taught. Education is what you teach yourself. Revelation is what you receive. And when people are receiving and you say they are not spiritual, they are spiritual. They may not be the spirituality you understand in our faith as Christians.
Your interpretation or translation.
Yes, but or the experience even can be real. They have a spiritual experience different from yours. It could be a lower resolution. You could have a higher resolution, but they have a spiritual experience, right? Now, when you bring all of what you have said to be with God, to pick God, to connect to high-level ideas, all of those three, EQ, IQ, AQ, they must all be one. It's like your senses. How do you ignore your intuition and say you want to walk with God? How do you do that? You can't do that. How do you discount your instincts, even basic instincts? If you don't master your instincts, how do you hear God? How are you going to follow God in some situations that are faster than the speed of thought, where your instinct is actually God's tool to get you out of that moment? Because God gave you all these things for a reason. How can God give you a brain and not engage it? How can God give you a mind and not engage it? How can God give you instincts and intuition and not engage it? He gave you all these things so that he can connect with you, because he knows you. So everything are tools in God, right? So when you help people, you help them to come into that zone where they can prioritize all of these things. A lot of times, the people who go sit on one mountain, you know what they've done? They go pray, they go bury themselves somewhere, they discount their EQ, they discount their IQ, they discount their AQ, and they're just waiting for some type of connection, and one demon speaks to them from there, and they go and birth a religion or birth a movement, and they begin to fool themselves. Because something will communicate with something once you're in an environment of spirituality, except you are focused in that environment, or you are directed in that environment. So in the same way, if people can just begin to honor their basics, so when I say basic intelligence, I mean your existential rights, your gifts of nature, right? Being in alignment with the way, when Jesus said we be like babies, people always think that means that we should go and be wearing diapers and be crying like babies or free of worry. That's not what it says. It's saying there's a nobility in the essence that defines a child, right? That is free of all of the adult, arrogant interpretation and reception of life. That once you come to that zone, you come to your element. You pretty much come into your design, and you trust in that. Everything happens that way. When people calm down and they change why they want to get married, they change why they must have children. once they have the right whys, they just find everything coming together, right? And then
so I can't desire a tall, dark, and handsome. I'm playing.
so we then create that. A lot of times, you know, I was speaking to a lady who was, and I'm being very honest here, who we then got talking, and she's like 48. And then I asked her to do like a list of what she wants out of a man. You know, she's really very concerned about, you know, having a man and dating. So I told her to do a list, and when she was done, and she did a very beautiful list. And I asked her to honestly, sincerely
see
look
my
at
list. I'm serious. Pinned here to my office.
So I told her to, so we went to so she made a physical list, she made a society correctness list, which is finances, friends, the guy's friends, the guy's social class. So we have different categories like that. Spiritual, we have society, we have, you know, physical. So we're just on the physical. So I said, what kind of man physically, what kind of man socially, what kind of man spiritually? So we have different. So on the physical side, you know, she went on and on. And when we're done, I showed her that she's actually looking for like between a 22 to 26-year-old guy. That's who she's looking for. This guy that she has listed is not looking for her. This guy is not even looking for anybody. This guy still wants to play. So I realized that she's been stuck with who she has wanted since she was in her. And while she has grown physically and grown in every way possible, that part of her was yet to grow. That part of her was yet to grow. So I did her what I call a reality gap, and I took her into our new formed perception of who she would be. And when we started defining this guy, the guy is going to be anything from 48 to like 50 something to late 50s, early mid to late 50s. Physically, this guy is probably going to have some type of, you know, pot belly or some type of...
Do you know why this is funny to me? Because recently I just did this to myself and for myself, because I haven't dated in a long time, right?
Yeah.
And my last reality expectation was what it was, so I never really revisited that. But now I was just thinking lately, like, I have my own house. I have that's the things that were things I needed then. There's nowhere I want to go in the world I can't go. I've been to almost half of the world by myself. So the taste has changed. And
exactly. So when we did all of that, I told him this guy is probably in Yoruba tennis club playing long tennis. You know, this guy is not even on social media. This guy listening to Kwam One. This guy is not on social media, you know, checking out things. This is your guy. And then by the time we continued the sequencing, I even told her, I said, you don't even need a man that can take care of you. That's not what you need. You know, you don't need a man that can take care of himself. Not can take care of you. I said, because you are not in that place. This is what a 29-year-old should be saying, 25-year-old, a 35-year-old, 33-year-old. I said, but where you are now, if you actually cannot take care of yourself at this age, a guy should not actually, man, because the necessity of growth is not gender sensitive. You should have been growing as well. So at 48, you have lost your rights to be looking for a man to come and help you financially. At 48, you should be able to help anybody as much as the man can help anyone, right? So I started helping her to see these things. And that does not mean go and marry a poor person. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying your qualification for at that level should be a bit, not step down, but real. Because people say, oh, did I mean I need to step down? I said, no, you're not stepping down.
Settle. You're not
settling. You are coming into your truth. This is your truth now. I said, you want to marry what you are looking for is a man with the emotional and the spiritual strength to even sit in your reality. You are a completely different power woman now. You know, the type of man you are looking for, even those who are married, the type of man you really need now, those who are already married since 30 something are wishing they can get that man that I'm talking to you about. Because the husband they married at 20 something, for some reason, has not also grown with them. They are all growing. And the guy is still with one funny, skewed mentality because it's not grown. Because it's already got everything wrong. Because you've all been together on a path and both of you are running an outdated software of your present reality. You know, your software that should be running your life is outdated and it's almost 10 years old. And the reason why you are struggling in your marriage now is because the software is not working, you know, and it's due for an update, you know, and you've not taken the update. So the entire system is malfunctioning as a phone wheel when it's due for an update. It's just a software thing. So the software is what we need to pay attention to. And then by the time we began to break it down, and I've experienced this so many times, B.o.u.q.u.i, it's not long. At times as short as few weeks, at times as short. I've had these sessions with people that all of a sudden, there's a guy right on the next desk in their office, the next desk, who has been all over them all this while, and they just couldn't feel it. All of a sudden, they just see and the guy looks different. All of a sudden, wow, you know, there's a possibility here.
Okay, come on.
You know,
I think what it is you will not properly recognize opportunities if your mind is in the wrong place.
You get it, B.o.u.q.u.i. That's what it is. And I always think that when people, so they put that question about how do you then know when the waiting is over? I think that you should not even be thinking about waiting. I think you should just focus on aligning with all the protocol of basic intelligence, the things that you need to do. And once you have done them, I think waiting begins at the end of best effort. I don't think it should be the other way around. I don't think waiting should start happening and all of that should start happening when you have not even done all you are supposed to do. So a lot of times when people come for coaching and they come for therapy and all of that, or counseling, or, you know, a lot of times you just find out that all the answers are in them. As a matter of fact, you are not even trained to give people answers.
Therapists, you just pay them.
Yes.
You pay them, they just say, so why do you think you did that? Why do you think I did that? I'm paying you to tell me.
Because the answer is with people. And you're just going to guide them to the answer that's already within them. Right? So I'm convinced that God will not place anybody's miracle beyond his reach. God doesn't do like hold it, and when you're about to hold it, it moves it away.
Like that guy,
you know what God does is it brings it and say, look at it, touch it, take it, it's yours. This is where it is. That's what God does, and that eliminates struggle. You know, that should just bring signs of connection and finding. You know, so that's what I believe. People should just learn to build their war room, have their wisdom table clear, have the right people on that wisdom table that are spiritually, experientially, professionally qualified to pace them. But don't take anybody's counsel as the instruction of your destiny. All counsel, no matter how grand, is to broaden the options of your table. It's never to be the instruction. So be free to build. I don't think there's anyone who can survive without that. You need a wisdom table. You need a war room. They said in the multitude of counseling, there's safety. You won't have a lot of people doing that for you, but you will have 2-3 people. You are going to die in somebody's hands one day. So you just have to trust. You know, 2-3 people you can, you know, be naked and know that your dignity will be protected with. And then, yeah, and you get into this book. Look at the book. You know, My Naked Path, Celebrate and Fortify. I think it's a great book. And I recommend this for anyone. You know, this is beyond singlehood, Bookie. This is for everyone hoping to really find their heart out. You just want to put your heart out there and you want to connect to all of the goodness and the love that is in the world. You know, this book will help you. That's what I believe. The kind of things you are speaking to here, you know, is about the whole person, you know, speaks to, I could apply all this to anything, business, marriage, you know, dating, I could apply it anywhere and it will still be true, right? So it's a book that I really enjoyed, and I think a lot of people will have too many beautiful, amazing takeaways from here, and they should check it out. It is with counsels like this and more, and the workbook. So let me also show people this. I have an entire package here. So this is just the book. You have the workbook that comes with that here. You know, all of this came in an incredible packaging, right? That, you know, so look at all of that. This is all that you get. It also has this, so it's like a set. It has this
a bookmark.
It's got the pen, but one of the most beautiful things here is this one. And this is a message from b.o.u.q.u.i herself, and I really like this one. So you got this right there. You've got the pen. You've got the bookmark.
Show them the pen. Show them the pen.
And look at the pen. Look at how beautiful that is. Look at how beautiful that is. Isn't that just very?
BraveWithBookiesPlace.com.
I mean, this is so beautiful. So this is all you've got in this package. I think it's worth the investment. But honestly, these are great containers, but the content is equally as beautiful. And
let's give 2 out. Let's give 2 out.
We should give 2 out.
Let's give 2 out. But you have to be living in America. Tell me, you have to be living in America. We're not shipping outside. We ship outside the country, but it's so expensive. So tell me the most important thing that you learned from PK today. Give me a word, a phrase. Quote that phrase, and then we will ship one out to you. If you think that you want to go on a journey, on a path to discover yourself, this workbook will help you. Who am I? Where am I going? Why am I here? How do I get there? My, top priorities, body goals, mind goals, just stuff, patterns I need to break, things I regretted not doing, change my thoughts and change my world. Let me read this to you. Maybe that's what we'll talk about next. My self-image is a picture of myself that I see in my mind when I think about myself. My self-esteem is how I feel about myself when I think about myself, influencing how I carry myself. My self-worth is the value that I place on myself based on how I feel because of what I believe. How you see yourself will determine how you treat yourself and how others will treat you. Let's talk about how we see. Let's give one book out now. Let me see. PK, pick one person for us. Let me see. Let me see. It said peace over justice, and that was easy. We can remember that one. Tell me something, 2 sentences that he said.
Waiting begins at the end of best efforts. That's not bad.
That's who said that.
Waiting begins at the end of best efforts.
Adedayo Tunde 5. If you're in America, DM me. We will give you a book. And then let me see. Let me scroll. God has already done the ultimate for us. Even we know that one from church. I'll pray for my shipping. I'll pay for my shipping. Who said I'll pay for my shipping myself? Okay. If you pay for your shipping yourself, DM me. I'll send it to you. The third world limitation. You see, the person even laughed at himself. Thank you, Pastor Godwin. PG in the house.
PG. I see you, PG. That's PG right there.
Yeah, that's PG right there. Those are my mentors. Those are the people that won't be me so. Who said I posted first?
Peter Dingba. That's
Peter,
a good guy.
okay.
That's an incredible guy. Incredible Peter Dingba.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. If you're incredible, let's give to people that cannot afford to buy. No. Everybody can afford it.
Peter can afford it.
Okay, so we're not giving it to Peter. Mr. Peter, go and buy. But really, I want us to talk about self-image. We can do this. We're giving 2 books out. Maybe we'll give out 4. My friends have just been wonderful. They'll just say, Bookie, I'm buying 10. I want you to give them out on your show. You know, I don't want you to send it to me. Just give them out. You know, so people have been doing great things like that, and I'm really appreciative of that. You know, let's talk about self-image, because you see the way
Yeah.
my eyes are, right? My
Yeah.
eyes are created to see out, and I'm sure we've talked about this before. So when
Yeah.
I see you in totality. But if I need to see myself, I have to engage the use of an external thing to look at myself, maybe a mirror or someone else's opinion. What if I now view myself, which is how I feel about myself, which determines the value that I place on myself? What if I see myself through a cracked mirror? What if I see myself through the voice of someone that is broken? You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Because my
Yes.
self-image is my picture. My picture determines how I feel. So God forbid I wake up, I'm really dressed to conquer the world, and I make the mistake of asking you how I look. And you tell me, you know, and then that now becomes my reality that I carry all through the day because of how you think I look. And in actual fact, I may be completely opposite.
Of course.
You know, of that. So how do we break down these limitations? I know we're just going with all these questions, still the same thing, breaking down the, you know, and all that. But
Yeah.
what do you do when you need to get out of that? I think we've said this before. I'm trying to look for another way to ask that question, because you see, if you don't value yourself, people can't value you. And this ties into what you said at the beginning, where, you know, you ask yourself, am I really stupid? What did I do to put myself in this position that this person addresses me like that? You know, what did I do to deserve this? And, you know, all that stuff. So how do we as human beings come to this conclusion that I matter? And it doesn't matter what my circumstance or my situation is saying. How do I, you know, express myself without the limitations of someone else's opinion?
Great. Great. So I have a dilemma as we were talking. I got a message that I have to take my boy for my golf classes.
Oh, what time is it?
It's in 7 minutes time. I have to leave.
Oh
But
man.
I'm going to try to maybe keep extra 5 minutes for after the 7 minutes or something. I don't know how
Oh
we're going
wow.
to do it. I'm going to be in the car. I'm going to be driving. You know,
Well, we're gonna be on Facebook
um, on
on
Tuesday. Is
Tuesday.
it Monday?
Tuesday,
On
2 o'clock. We're gonna
Tuesday.
be on Facebook, so we'll
Yes.
continue it. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
So,
you
but let
know
me
what?
quickly address. Let me
Okay.
quickly speak to this question. So, I always tell people that Jesus is not a life coach. You know, he's the life. And long before we had life coaches, we've had Alexander the Great in the world, Socrates. Socrates existed before Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I think people don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those big words that Socrates was saying, he was saying it without the privilege of the indwelling of the Holy Spirit. He was saying them without the privilege of religion as we know it. Socrates preceded Christ. You know, Plato, a lot of the guys we read about. And so we can find a freedom in the world to exist at a level that God has permitted if we have the courage to believe so. You know, so when the question about I just lost that question again. Yeah, self-esteem. So for
Yeah.
me, I'm liberated, Buki. I'm liberated. And I always tell people, the technicalities of sitting down and, you know, therapies, life coaches, consultants, they've made, you know, transformation and change very technical. And, you know, I always ask people, the first person that certified people, who certified him? Who certified that person? Where did he get the knowledge from? Who gave him the certificate? You know, he got it 0 to 1. Now he's trying to make all of us pretend that it can only be gotten from 1 to infinity, where he is the one, and then infinity can be anybody. You know, so that's not how it works. You know, that's not how it works. We can get knowledge 0 to 1. We can create everything from nothing, and that is where what I call creative rebellion starts. You know, knowing that, you know, a rebellion has to be in you that pretty much receives everything everywhere, but compartmentalizes everything you are receiving. The things you are receiving that cannot serve your journey, and if anything limits you and oppress you, you need the courage and the rebellion to jettison those things and to focus on the things that really serve your purpose and serve your journey, right? Even academics. Everybody teaching you anything in any school has an agenda in mind. Every curriculum has a goal, and there's a conditioning that is laced in that curriculum to conform you to, right? And why you must go to school, your goal is to test everything you are receiving to be sure that you're going to school is not reducing your authenticity. Because if you are not careful, the more school you go, the more of yourself you lose. You know, so understanding that you are free. You know, I tell people I'm born free, I will die free. You know, I will fight for my freedom. You know something, B.o.u.q.u i. I believe in being decisive than I believe in right decisions. I'm not as focused on taking the right decisions as
So
I
even if
am.
you do wrong, stick to it.
I'm okay. It's okay. It's okay. Grace, and we take over. We take care of me. As long as my motive is right and my why is correct, I'm fine with my errors. You know, wrong judgments will be fixed. I'm fine with it. You know, I'll keep going, but I'm not going to be in the prison of trying to get things right and I will never move. No. If you are ready, you are late. You know, I say that every time. You know, you just have to keep moving and, you know, take your chances.
Wait, you said if you are ready, you are late.
Oh, every time, B.o.u.q.u i. Every time. Readiness is oppressive. You know, nothing is ready. That's why you have iPhone 1, iPhone 2, iPhone 3, iPhone 4. Nothing is ready. If you wait for everything to be ready, you will always arrive. Every time you are ready, you are late. Every time you are ready, you are already late. You know, if
so
you take...
So what are you're supposed to be... What are you... So break that down before you go, please.
Be on the move. Respect the earliest arrival of what you have to do and put it out. Let the market always tell you if you came on time or not you. You know, you can't find out what you have to do in your research room. You have to put it out there. Whatever it is you are doing, decisiveness is more key than soundness of judgment. And I always tell people, if you want everything to be ready, I don't care if it's an event, I don't care if it's yourself, I don't care if it's marriage. So I don't care if it's whatever it is you are trying to do. If you stick on being ready, you are going to raise a bar of perfection, and that's going to track you. You know, and you know that the elements of life are designed by God to accommodate your frailties. So you can try to kill every imperfection. You can't try to do that because it's an unnecessary affirmation. You know, life is built to find reading in spite of imperfections, not the absence of it. So how can you now live your life trying to avoid it? Because it's not possible. You know, error is a constant. There's something you will not always see. Unplanned interruptions are constant. You know, so you just have to understand that and respect them. We say it, but we don't give it respect. We don't give these things respect. We are so guarded, unnecessarily cautious. You know, we just want to eliminate errors. We are afraid to fail, you know, and so we don't take our chances. We question everything into paralysis. We overthink everything. You know, we'll try to create what is impossible, you know, and we don't move. What it does is it gives you a very safe place, but you're going to end up with a very cold and timid life, not finding the heights, not finding the ultimate of your expressions, but not failing as well. So you won't fail. You just won't find the ultimate. So you just have this timid life, cold life in the middle, you know, that does not really get any attention, nor does it scale. You know, so that's the way I say it. So for me, I always advise that, you know, people learn to have the courage to celebrate, you know, themselves, even on their worst day. You know, people tell me, okay, so how do I keep my esteem? How do I keep? I say, those are technical things. You know, remember that people have lived before you, before a life coach began. People have lived, and they've lived through these things. Alexander the Great conquered the world. Julius Caesar conquered the world without a life coach. So, you know, Adolf Hitler ran an entire world war, you know, without, you know, he didn't have all of that. You know, people have done the most evil things in the world, you know, without all of these new trends around them. So, if we have the How much more when you have a good intention, you have a good motive. Even very bad people have achieved very bad things, you know, without the privilege of all of these things. You almost wonder at times if good is a curse, you know, you know, and it's not. It's just that we don't have the courage to abandon ourselves in the hand of our good intentions, like bad people abandon themselves in the hand of their own bad intentions, you know. So how do I say that? You know, believe in yourself more, get yourself out there, and take your chances. Suspect the narrative, greet everything with curiosity, you know, question everything, you know, and insist on your freedom, you know, to wake up in the morning, and to know that no human being on the face of the earth, determines what I do, who I do it with, how I do it. There is a freedom and a power in that. I know it. I know when I didn't have that, and I know that I have it now.
Yeah.
You know, to know that whatever I do can only be stopped by two entities in the world, me or God. No other entity can stop it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm open to advice. I nurture relationships. I take in counsel, but everything is to come on my wisdom table. The decision is mine every time. Since I will not complain about what I permit, and I will never point fingers at everybody, it has to be my misery or my own wisdom or my bliss. It has to be mine. It can't be anybody's.
Decision to make.
Yes.
You give your power away when you allow the external to make decisions.
Exactly. And then I've also accepted my journey. So I just get better and better. The path of the righteous, the path of a good man is like the dawn of the morning, shining brighter and brighter. So I just want to have a great tomorrow. And every day, once I'm standing above ground, you know, I'm grateful for my breath. Breath is proof there's something I had to conquer. I just keep moving, and I point to my victories. I celebrate them. I acknowledge my gaps, my failures. I embrace them, and I look for all men fall. They say, great men pick something when they get up. You know, they pick something up, but all men fall. You know, so I understand that, and I just keep moving. I don't have any standard of myself that is really beyond me. You know, for example, you know, I don't apologize for what most people apologize for. You know, I don't expect that when I make a mistake. Of course, if I don't make a mistake, so you should be surprised. I'm human. You know, when I got married, I keep reminding myself, I've not been married before. I'm not a veteran of marriage. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm not doing what I've never done before. I remember when I was ordained a pastor, and a colleague of mine, you know, called me one time and told me that, oh, I shouldn't dress like this. I said, hey, I've not been a pastor before. You all have to deal with that, because this is my first time of being a pastor. If you know you wanted me to be a veteran, you should have found somebody else who would not make any mistake. This is my first time of being a pastor. I'm going to make my mistakes. I'm going to do things right. I'm going to do things wrong. And I'm going to learn from all of them. And if you can't deal with that, God help you. Because this is my reality. And I'm not going to hold myself to that rule, because I can't. I'm just going to babysit myself and frustrate myself in my dire part the rest of my life. And I'm not going to do that. You know. So
my God,
so I don't have those rules. I don't have those rules at all. You know, there are no rules, as a matter of fact. You know, one of my greatest models in life is Apostle Paul. In 1 Corinthians 4, he said something that people like to ignore. He said, 1 Corinthians 4 from verse 1 to 4. He said, I'm conscious of nothing against myself. He said, and I'm not by this justified. He said, but he that judges me is God. But I'm conscious of nothing against myself. You know, he said it is a small thing that I should be judged by you or any human court. Very deep, almost arrogant things. But he said them anyway because he knows that the best of us will not qualify to be the holder of the standard. Even the best of us will not qualify. The best of us will not qualify to be the owner of the standard that all of us must conform to. No. We are all dealing
like filthy rags.
And we are all dealing with the same, contending with the same, you know, bars of equality. All of us will go to the grave. All of us will die. All of us will sleep. All of us need to use the toilet. All of us have to shower. You know, all of us have to. We all have to deal with this. In the grave, there's no boss. There's no seniority. There's no intelligence. There's nothing. No matter how rich you are going to the grave, and in the grave there's equality. It's balance of power, right? So, you know, when you think like that, you just free yourself from all humanity. This is just, you know, just die. You know, that's what I say. We die daily. So every day I step out, because I'm dead, there are things I just can't feel. You know, just today, a very close friend of mine was just telling me how somebody was saying some things about the things, some things I've done in the past, some of the mistakes I've made in the past, and all of that. And I said to that person, hey, that's a constant, man. You think I'm going to be sorry about that? I'm going to call him to seek redress? I said, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, he can live with that. You know, I can live with that.
You gotta go.
He is living with himself. He is living with his own inadequacies. He is accepting his own frailties. I have accepted mine too. Everybody in the world is tolerating themselves. It's you they cannot tolerate. And that's fine. You should tolerate your own self. It's fine they can't tolerate you, but tolerate yourself. It's just the way it works.
PK, I know, man. I saw you signaling. Listen, I thank you so much. I appreciate you, your time, your knowledge, your wisdom. I mean, man, we're going to be on Facebook on Tuesday. B.o.u.q.u.i, the page B.o.u.q.u.i, on Tuesday. Please sign, follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel. These videos will be edited and put on the YouTube channel. However, PK has to go. If you want to stay to win the book, maybe I'll give 4 out.
Great.
Maybe I'll give 4. Yeah. If you want to stay after PK goes, then stay and then we can give the book away. Thank you so much, PK. Love you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Bless you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you all. Bye.
Okay. All right.